Okay.
Okay, we may be live, but right now, just give me one moment, please, because there's a problem right here. Okay, good enough. All right, I'm going to ask everyone to please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the
To
flag
the flag of the
of the
United States of
United States of
America
America and
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under God,
God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty,
liberty,
justice,
justice
and rule.
for all.
Please don't sit down. Please don't sit down. Please, I have to just say, I just want to stand for a moment of silence. I got some bad news today. Most of you might know this already, but Crystal Cleaves has passed away today. And she was an intricate part of our board, and I always valued her questions. And she's going to be sorely missed. I know I say that for the entire board. So just let's have one moment of silence for her, please. Okay, thank you.
Amen.
That is correct. She was always a pleasure. She worked, I enjoyed her questions. She always had the right questions and so forth and so on. And she's going to be sorely missed, and it's going to be hard to replace her. So for that, I thank her for her service here on this board. And my condolences go out to her family for sure. Um, Okay, good evening, everyone. Commissioners and planning board staff, ladies and gentlemen, as chairwoman of the City of Paterson's Planning Board, I call this meeting of October 3rd, 2022 to order. I hereby state that all the provisions of the State of New Jersey Public Meeting Law have been fully and completely met, that the notice of provisions required have been properly posted in the Planning Board office and with the City of Paterson clerk, that the public notice and advertisements have been published in the Herald News on September 9th, 2022, in accordance with the law, and that the copies of such notice and public advertisements are on file in the Planning Board office, as is also the agenda listing the applications to be taken up by the Planning Board at this meeting. Tonight's procedures will be in accordance with the rules, regulations, and bylaws as heretofore determined by the Planning Board at its office at 125 Ellison Street in the City of Paterson. Madam Secretary, may we have the roll call, please?
Before I do that, Madam Chair, just a correction, the notices were posted September 22nd.
What did I say? I thought I said September. I didn't say September 22nd?
September 9th.
I did? Oh, boy. Okay, it's been a long day. All right, September 22nd. All right.
Just for clarification, just for the record.
I stand corrected. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Present.
Commissioner Fisher.
Present.
Commissioner Figueroa.
Present.
Commissioner Hussein.
Present.
Commissioner Lidanzo.
Present.
Commissioner Amar.
Present.
Madam Vice Chair Santana.
Present.
And Madam Chair Northrop.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay. The notice pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act addressing the effect coronavirus measures on the next public meeting, which is this evening, consistent with the coronavirus-related restrictions of Executive Order Number 107, given on Saturday, March 21st, 2020, by Governor Philip D. Murphy. The Planning Board of the City of Paterson will not conduct in-person participation of the public at all future meetings until further notice. However, public participation will be available by means of communication equipment pursuant to NJSA 10:4-8 commencing on April 15th, 2020. Though there may potentially be practical need for the limited number of administrative, technical, or other city personnel to be present in or near the City Council Chambers, 3rd floor, City Hall, 155 Market Street, Paterson, New Jersey, in-person participation of the public is prohibited. Nevertheless, for reasons of compliance with the said Executive Order Number 107, public participation will be available by calling 973-321-1579, and the meeting ID is 711-680-001. And I will repeat that later on during the meeting on the date and the time that this meeting is scheduled for, which is this evening. The public may also participate in the meeting by accessing the website of the City of Paterson, www.paterson.gov www.patersonnj.gov and following the email link for the meeting, which is www.patersonnj.gov. This evening, we have two things on the agenda, but at this planning board special meeting this evening at 6:30, we have one application on the agenda, and it's a Paterson Fund 1 LLC, 50-58 Camden Street, lot 5606, lot 17. Who is representing this application?
Madam
this evening?
Chair, I'm Peter Michael Rubin, 1330 Hamburg Turnpike, Wayne Township. I am the attorney for Paterson Fund 1 LLC as to this application for 50-58 Camden Street in the city. And we are ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, the applicant proposes to remove the existing one-story masonry building on the site and construct a 5-story residential building. The first floor proposes parking for 30 vehicles, including 6 electric vehicle charging stations. Also included on the first floor are 2 stairwells, a package room, the lobby, the elevator, the refuge recycling room, a bike rack, an electrical room, and a room housing meters for gas, water, sprinkler connections. The second through fifth floors each proposes 8 one-bedroom units and 2 two-bedroom units per floor, for a total of 10 units per floor and 40 units in total. The parcel has a lot area of 12,500 square feet. The parcel is located in the multifamily district of the Area 11 Redevelopment Plan. And variances are requested for lot size, as a minimum lot size of 22,000 square feet is required and 10,000 square feet is proposed. Amenity space as 8,400 square feet is required and 6,261 square feet is proposed. And parking as 52 parking spaces are required and 6 electrical vehicle spaces are credited towards reducing the requirement to 46 spaces. And 30 spaces are proposed, leaving a variance request of 16 parking spaces. It requires site plan approval and bulk variances, and this is their first appearance. So, Mr. Deutsch, you're doing the first special meeting?
Ms. Farsbud is doing the first meeting.
First. Okay, Ms. Farsbud, please give us your review.
Sure. Property taxes and surcharges are current. Persons having a 10% or greater ownership interest in Paterson Fund 1 LLC are Matthew Florio, Alan Cheyenne-Feck, Raymond Dogwoody, and Rodney Dogwoody, all providing an address of 175 Broadway in Paterson, New Jersey. As indicated on the property survey prepared by GB Engineering and dated September 29, 2021, the parcel has frontage of 125 feet on Camden Street, a rear lot line of 125 feet, and eastern and western lot lines that each measures 100 feet. The subject property is located 100 feet west from the southwest intersection of Camden Street and Lavine Street and has total area of 12,500 square feet or 0.36 acres. The survey also indicates that the subject property is occupied with an existing one-story masonry building that, with a macadam and concrete loading area, covers almost the entire site. An existing chain link fence encloses the loading area. One-story commercial structures exist on the east and west side of the parcel. Evans Architects has prepared a 6-page architectural submittal revised on September 28, 2022. Drawing S1 titled as site plan indicates the tax map location, the utility, drainage, and topographic site plan, the lighting and landscaping site plan, the existing survey, the proposed site plan, and the zoning data and notes. The proposed site plan indicates that all of the existing structures on the subject property are to be removed. The proposed 5-story building is to be placed 0 feet from the front property line of Camden Street, 0 feet from the eastern and western property lines, and 25 feet from the rear property line. The proposed building is to cover 75% of the parcel, and the site will be entirely impervious. 2 new curb cuts, each measuring 12 feet in width, provide vehicular access to the parking garage of the building. New cherry trees are proposed along Camden Street in front of the subject parcel. A note on the plan indicates that the entire site and site perimeter is to be equipped with video security throughout public areas and site lighting along the traveled public way and parking area. Surveillance cameras are to connect to the City of Paterson Police Department system. The location of the exterior lighting is indicated on the lighting and landscape plan. Drawing S2 titled as Site Plan Details indicates details for the stop bar and traffic arrow, the accessible parking stall, the handicap parking sign, the wheel stop, the stop sign, the water service connection, the sanitary sewer connection, the permeable paver detail, the concrete vertical curb, the tree and shrub planting, the seepage pit section, and the lighting detail. Drawing A1 titled as First Floor Parking Plan indicates the building main entrance lobby, the mailboxes, the package room, the refuse and recycle room, the electric room, the utility room, the elevator, and 2 staircases. In addition, the first floor indicates a parking garage accommodating 30 vehicle spaces, including 28 regular parking spaces, of which 16 spaces are in a tandem arrangement, as well as two handicapped spaces. 6 parking spaces are equipped with the electric vehicle stations. The tenant bike racks are located to the right side of the parking entrance. The garage parking plan indicates 2 one-way drive aisles that each measures 24 feet in width. The parking spaces are measured 18 feet in length and 8.5 feet in width. All the parking requirements of the Area 11 Redevelopment Plan are met. The entrance only and the exit only signs are indicated at the entrance and exit of the parking garage. Drawing A2 titled as floor plans indicates the second floor plan, the third through fifth floor plans, the rooftop floor plan, and the apartment schedule. The proposed second floor plan indicates 8 one-bedroom units and 2 two-bedroom units, a trash chute and janitor's room, a cable room, an elevator, 2 staircases, 228 square feet of community room, 134 square feet of tenant storage, an additional 69 square feet of buildings storage room are also indicated on the second floor plan. The one-bedroom units have areas of 663, 707, 708, 753, and 775 square feet, and they contain a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a mechanical room, a laundry closet, and a full bathroom. The two-bedroom units have areas of 901 square feet and 1,137 square feet, and they contain a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a mechanical room, a laundry closet, and a full bathroom. The proposed third through fifth floors are identical in the layout. Each floor contains 10 residential units consisting of 8 one-bedroom units and 2 two-bedroom units, a trash chute and recycle area, a cable room, an elevator, 2 staircases, 228 square feet of fitness room, 134 square feet of tenant storage, an additional 69 square feet of buildings storage room for each of the third through fourth floors, and 69 square feet of ADS room for the fifth floor are also indicated on the third through fifth floor plan. The one-bedroom units have areas of 663, 707, 708, 753, and 775 square feet, and they contain a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a mechanical room, a laundry closet, and a full bathroom. The two-bedroom units have areas of 901 square feet and 1,137 square feet, and they contain a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a mechanical room, a laundry closet, and a full bathroom. All of the 32 residential units on this building exceeds the minimum floor area requirement for 1 and 2 bedroom units. The proposed roof floor plan indicates an area for the mechanical units and 4,538 square feet of rooftop terrace for tenant amenity area. Drawing A3 titled as elevations indicate the front and right side elevation plans. The proposed front view from Camden Street indicates a 5-story building which measures 62.5 feet in height. The first floor indicates the building's lobby entrance and two roll-up entrance and exit garage doors to the left side of it. The proposed front elevation indicates a mix of materials for the front facade, such as a brick veneer, a horizontal and vertical brick, a horizontal siding, and a stucco finish. Each floor proposes one single window and 10 double-hung windows. A 3-foot wide overhang canopy located above the entrance and a 3.5-foot high parapet wall on the rooftop are also shown on the front elevation plan. The proposed right side elevation plan indicates a CMU finish wall and a horizontal siding. No windows are proposed for this facade. Drawing A4, titled also as elevations, indicate the proposed rear and left side elevation plans. The proposed rear elevation indicates a CMU wall and a horizontal siding and 12 double-hung windows for this facade. The proposed left side elevation also indicates a CMU wall and a horizontal siding, but no windows are proposed for this facade. The intent of the multifamily residential of the Area 11 redevelopment plan is to bring in new residents and private investments into the city. Considering the presence of the St. Joseph Hospital in the district and in close proximity of the subject property, the development of residential uses will create opportunities for workforce housing and facilitate walkability in this area. The surrounding existing dwellings consist of older multifamily dwellings of 2- and 3-story in height. However, new constructions of mid-high-rise dwellings are observed in the neighborhood. The 5-story residential building on 47-57 Camden Street and 81-91 Court Street for a total of 56 residential units that was approved on April 19, 2017 is located on the north side of the subject property. Also, the Planning Board approved a multifamily building on 59-63 Cortlandt Street on September 26, 2018 for a total of 15 residential units. The applicant is requesting variances for the lot area, as minimum lot area of 22,000 square feet is required and 12,500 square feet is proposed. Amenity space at 8,400 square feet is required and 6,193 square feet is proposed. And parking at 46 spaces are required and 30 spaces are proposed. The applicant has provided a list of different amenities proposed for the subject building on the zoning table. To satisfy the required conditions of Area 11, the applicant provides stacked washer and dryer for each unit, 154 square feet of storage room on each floor, indoor bike racks on the first floor, and 228 square feet of on-site workout and fitness room on the 3rd through 5th floors. In addition, the applicant has proposed 228 square feet of community room on the 2nd floor, a total area of 207 square feet of buildings storage on the 2nd through 4th floors, and 4,538 square feet of rooftop terrace, including landscape and sitting area for the residents. A list of neighborhood open spaces which are within the walking distance of the subject property is provided on the site plan as well. A minimum of 52 parking spaces are required. A total of 6 electric vehicle stations are proposed, which are credited towards reducing the requirement to 46 parking spaces. As the applicant is proposing 30 parking spaces, a variance for 16 off-street parking is requested. The Area 11 Neighborhood Redevelopment Plan includes architectural design standards. The applicant's architect should discuss the building design and how it conforms to the redevelopment plan. If applicable, any proposed sign shall be in accordance with Section 500-8 of the Zoning and Land Development Ordinance and the Area 11 Neighborhood Redevelopment Plan. As this is a redevelopment area, the Planning Board must determine whether the granting of the requested variances to allow the number of dwelling units proposed by the applicant is appropriate for the lot and the immediate surrounding area. Camden Street is a two-way street. Public parking in the area is mainly provided on the street. It shall be the responsibility of the applicant and or the preparer of the plan to obtain a letter from the city engineer indicating that the plans have been satisfactorily reviewed prior to the plans being released to the construction official. This proposal is within the Lackawanna section of the city. The parcel is located in close proximity of St. Joseph's Medical Center. In conclusion, the applicant estimates the cost of this proposal at approximately $6 million. The applicant should incorporate the design elements contained within the Area 11 redevelopment plan. That was the staff review for this proposal, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Forsberg. Mr. Rubin?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, our first witness is Mr. Evans, and if he can please be sworn.
Yes, please go ahead. Can the court stenographer swear Mr. Evans in?
Mr. Evans, do you swear from the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Witness is not sworn.
Okay, thank you very much. Just say your name.
Qualifications, I assume, are allowed.
Yes, they are. He's been here almost every meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Matthew Evans.
Okay,
Thank you.
please go
And
ahead.
get right into the plan, Madam Chair, members of the board. Mr. Evans, could you tell us what is being proposed? What are we doing here?
Okay, can you see the screen we're sharing?
Yes, but can you make it a little bit larger? Thank you.
I'll zoom in a little bit on each one. So basically, we have several different site plans on the first page. The first page is the site plan, sheet S1. And we have a utility drainage and topographic plan of the site, lighting and landscaping, and then basically a simplified site plan showing the building. You can see the gray area is the 5-story section of the building with open parking in the 25-foot section in the rear below. We have landscaping along the street, all new site improvements and site improvements on the street, sidewalks, curb cuts, etc. We also show the tax map, site location map, our site, and then there's sites across the street which are a new multifamily on Court, or I believe it's Levine and Camden, and then showing the different parcels adjacent to our property. We have the zoning ordinance data, which we broke down for the variances. Minimum lot area, the pre-existing site is 12,500, where 22,000 is required. We would seek a variance for that. And then also we have open space amenity where 8,400 square feet is required. We have a little over 6,193 square feet. So we've added that square footage based on the units, and felt that this was a comfortable number for the building. And also the parking for the per units, we need 46 is required. We have 30 spaces proposed. Those would be the variances, what we've designed the building with.
Could you, while we're talking about parking, could you just tell us how tenants, and it will be only tenants, bring their vehicles into the building?
Okay, so we have the first floor plan. What we've designed this with is a one-way in and a one-way out design. And what we've done, which I believe satisfies the parking, there's no tandem parking. So all the parking spaces are assigned, and they would be easily accessed from the entrance and exit on the building. And so all that parking, you come in on the left and enter that first aisle, and then you come around the rear and go around to the exit overhead door on the right. and then all the parking would be within that assigned parking for the tenants. We also have, in a little bit, we have tenant bicycle storage. We have utilities rooms, electric room, and we have a nice large lobby with a package room and mailboxes. And behind that, we have a compactor and a garbage room. Also, we have the electric vehicle charging stations and handicap parking.
While we're talking about parking, you've now been doing a number of these plans in the city of Paterson as to parking. And we've been talking about indoor parking on a number of other applications. And your professional opinion is the 30 parking spaces which is being proposed for this building, just from your experience, is that adequate to service the tenants here?
Yes, I believe that that in conjunction with on-street parking, and also the St. Joe's has 24-hour parking available about a block away, and that's paying daily 24 hours. I believe it's $9 a day at the most, and that would be that large parking garage adjacent to the hospital.
But in your professional opinion, there is more than sufficient parking for the tenants in this building.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the amenities. So that is one thing we've always been talking about in all of our applications. What are we giving the tenant? What is the tenant going to be able to have as a recreation area?
Okay, so looking at the second floor plan, we have a community room. We have tenant storage for additional overflow storage for the tenants on each floor. And then we have the rooftop terrace floor plan. That's 4,538 square feet, where we have a lobby. The elevator enters onto the lobby, and we have 2 fire stairs remote. And then we have that whole front section of the building for tenants. Basically, it's quiet enjoyment for the tenants. And then we have mechanicals in the rear of the that rooftop area. So then on the 3rd floor through 5th floor, we have the tenant storage, and then we have a fitness room, and those rooms would be additional amenity space.
Calling your attention to the St. Joseph's Hospital redevelopment plan. This is in the proximity of the hospital. And could you advise whether this is being built within the spirit and requirements of the redevelopment plan?
Yes, basically this zone allows up to 8 stories building. We designed this at 8-story. We did design a 5-story building, and going to that zoning table again, the maximum building height is 8 stories. We're at 5. The maximum building height is 95 feet, and we're at 62.5 feet. We've designed with minimal amount of variances for this lot, even though it's a little bit undersized. I believe we satisfied the requirements of the redevelopment zone.
So, and in your professional opinion, this fit into the whole scheme of the St. Joseph's Hospital area plan?
Yes.
Those are the questions I would have, Madam Chair.
Okay, how many witnesses do you have on this application?
As, besides Mr. Evans, we have our professional planner, Mr. Williams, and in the event that there are any questions for the owner, we do have the representative of the owner.
Mr. Reed? Okay.
If needed.
Okay. All right. I think that I'm going to ask you to bring forward the planner, please, Mr. Williams.
Before I just want to share, I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, now I can.
Yeah, so that's the building on Camden Street. That's what we were proposing. And we have the left-hand garage entry only, and then the right-hand garage is the exit. We have trees, landscaping in the front, and then we've mixed those materials to give it more of an aesthetic appeal, and also different materials. That the brown is an aluminum panel, gives it a wood look, and then we also have a charcoal brick. And then, as you can see on the right, that would be the entry to the building at the first floor.
Okay. I'm going to save my questions till after we hear from Mr. Williams on this. I do have a few questions. That's it. And I'm sure our board will have some questions. Does that conclude your testimony tonight?
Direct testimony, yeah.
Okay. All right. So at this time,
He's obviously right there.
yeah, I'm gonna save all the questions for the end. Okay. So I'm gonna ask to can you please bring Mr. Williams?
Yes, Mr.
Have him
Williams is
sworn.
on the call. He did-
I saw him. I see you somewhere, but I don't see you now. I have to see you because we have to swear you in. Matt, I know. You know what it is? I think, Matt, you have to take down your screen because I see a big gray area.
Okay, I'm trying to get rid of this. It's not giving me the option.
I'm glad you're not asking me these questions.
Give me 1 second, I'm trying to.
Can anybody else see Mr. Williams or is it just me?
No, I can't see him either.
Okay, yeah, it's because Matt's got his screen up, that's all. As soon as he gets his
No, not yet.
Give me a second.
Charlotte, can you stop him from sharing?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Give
No,
us a-
she's asking.
No, I'm asking IT.
IT. She's asking IT.
Sorry, what was said?
I see him.
Oh, here, I got it. Sorry.
Okay, goody.
It was
All right,
big.
so, all right, can you swear? Yes, Mr. Marcinet. Can you please swear in Mr. Williams?
Mr. Williams,
Yes, I will. Thank you so much. Mr. Williams, is the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
It most certainly will.
Thank you. The witness is now sworn.
Hey,
And
please.
I assume Mr. Williams' testimony as a professional planner is allowed. He has been before the board.
He has been. He has been. Thank you very much. We do accept him as an expert witness.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair. Mr. Williams, your role as a professional planner, you have looked at this property, you've written as a report, you've been there, you've been to the site. Tell us, from your perspective, what are we looking at from a professional planning viewpoint?
Certainly. Good evening, commissioners and staff. A pleasure to be here this evening. From a professional planning perspective, I would submit to the board in summary that what you have before you this evening is a land use application that comports with this redevelopment plan and your master plan through the provision of quality housing and the advancement of your goals and objectives for both the redevelopment plan and the master plan. As council mentioned, I did review the application before you this evening and the site plans. I've been to the site. I and my staff have been to the site on a couple of occasions. Most recently, I was there this evening prior to the hearing. We've reviewed the local land use documents like your master plan and the Area 11 neighborhood redevelopment plan for 2014 master plan. All of that in the context of the municipal land use law. Of course, we also looked at the planning literature and case law in support of the applications before you this evening. And last but not least, we did review your board planner's report. You've heard testimony from Mr. Evans, which was, as always, quite thorough and comprehensive. So I won't go through everything, but at the risk of being redundant, I will repeat one or two things for the record. Again, this is an application commonly referred to as 50-58 Camden Street, identified in your municipal tax records as block 5606, lot number 17, And again, it is in your Area 11 redevelopment plan. That area redevelopment plan, as captured by your board planner, offers the following. The intent of the multifamily district in the Area 11 rehabilitation plan is to, and I quote, capitalize on the presence of St. Joseph's Hospital and bring in new residents and private investment into the city. The district is comprised of less non-residential uses such as professional offices and is primarily intended to create age-restricted and other housing opportunities. It consists of areas that are close to the hospital and business district to facilitate walkability and to create an active pedestrian environment. Commissioners, again, in my professional opinion, the application before you perfectly matches the intent and purpose of the redevelopment area and the particular district that we are in. As you heard from Mr. Evans and your board planner, there are a couple of reliefs that we're seeking. They are relatively minimal, in my opinion. The first is, as you heard, the minimum lot area. Again, this is a pre-existing nonconformity. I would submit to the board that in reality, no relief is sought for that. It is pre-existing under the Cortesini court case. That leaves, in my opinion, two reliefs that we're seeking: the minimum open space and amenity space that you heard Mr. Evans discuss in his testimony, and last but not least, the minimum parking spaces. In terms of the open space and amenity spaces, I think Mr. Evans shared with you, not only through his rendering, but his testimony, that the proposed development has a considerable amount of quality amenity space, and he enumerated those in his testimony. One of the most appealing, perhaps, would be the rooftop that Mr. Evans has designed for the site. I would just add, and I'll share it in my exhibit, that we are also in close proximity to a park, which almost meets the deficiency of open space in our plan. Similarly, with parking, I would note that there is access to public transportation in the immediate vicinity, and that there is parking available to residents, as you heard from Mr. Evans, at the St. Joseph's Hospital, which is very close. And last but not least, the redevelopment plan itself contemplates a walkable community with less dependency on automobile trips. So for all those reasons, you'll hear me mention in my testimony about the proofs that there are, in my opinion, adequate proofs in support of the parking relief that we're seeking today. That is perhaps a good opportunity to go to the redevelopment plan very briefly. It suggests that, development contribute to the housing stock in a neighborhood of the city where investment and new housing stock is greatly needed. And that's for the St. Joseph's Hospital neighborhood. It also adds that the inclusion of EV or electric vehicle spaces is a benefit. There are a number of goals and objectives, certainly to rehabilitate older residential, commercial, and industrial buildings where appropriate and eliminate blight and neglect throughout the area. In this application, the removal of the non-permitted use, the non-residential use, would advance that goal. The master plan also has several similar goals and objectives. I won't go through all those, just suffice it to say that it too focuses on infill housing, quality housing, and strengthening neighborhoods. With that, Madam Chair, what I'd like to do is share an exhibit.
Yes, please.
Thank you. If I can find it.
Mr. Williams,
If-
this is Al Aquaviva. Was that submitted or was
Yes.
it marked as an exhibit tonight?
It was submitted.
Okay, thank you. Then there's no need to
Am I
mark.
correct, Madam
Yes,
Secretary?
it was. It was emailed to you all.
Yes, we all received it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, while it's loading, I'll describe it. This is kind of our standard exhibit, if you will. It's a compilation of graphics, some of them taken directly from the Paterson land use documents. The rest are images that were captured by myself and or my team during our site visit or site visits. It's really just intended to give a bit more context for the remainder of my testimony, which will focus on the reliefs that are being sought and their proofs. That being said, I'll just go through the exhibit. Not quite as fancy as Mr. Evans's rendering, but slide 2 is just an aerial photograph to give the location of our site, as you all know and heard from both Mr. Evans and your board planner, located on Camden Street, close to Levine. It is identified in this graph slide with the highlighted pink shape, and you can see the general size of this lot. You can also see some of the development in the surrounding area, like the school across the street. Commissioner, slide number 3 just confirms with the dashed circle that our property is in the MF district of the A11, Area 11 rehabilitation area. Slide number 4 just shows some of the existing transit options in the immediate vicinity. There are several within a 400-foot walking distance, and they include Route 72, Route 707, Route 74, and Route 190. So again, it's our contention that the parking variance may be aided or supported by the access to public transportation in the immediate vicinity, and of course, other modes of transportation like the provision of the bike racks mentioned in Mr. Evans' testimony, and last but not least, access to parking at the hospital. Slide number 5 is an image or capture of the existing development on the site. You can see it's non-residential, aesthetically not something that contributes to the viability of a strong residential neighborhood in this redevelopment area, and something that does not comport with the vision for development in this redevelopment area. If approved, our proposal would remove that and replace it with a use that is permitted, and I would argue contributes to the strengthening of the neighborhood. Slide number 6 just gives you a capture of 81 Levine Street, immediately around the corner, to show you some of the similar development, albeit different aesthetic, that's been approved in this area within close proximity. Wrapping this up now, commissioners, slide number 7 shows 133-155 Barclay Street. And this is a 6-story multifamily residential building with 70 dwelling units. Again, just giving a flavor and context for the type of development that's being approved in this MF district in support of the St. Michael's Hospital redevelopment concept. Last but not least, this is 47-57 Camden Street, different type of building style and history, but to give you a sense of the massing that is along this side of Camden Street. And in the background, you can see the other property that I just mentioned. Unlike this site, we will be providing parking on site, and you'll hear me say, and you heard Mr. Evans say, we would submit that the parking being provided is sufficient to meet the real demand of parking at the site and in the area. I'm going to remove this now.
Mr. Williams, before we go further, and while we were on your exhibits, the slide that shows the existing building, which is an industrial building, which is non-conforming, could you please comment on what the New Jersey Municipal Land Use Law would say about getting rid of a non-conforming use and now putting in a conforming use, which is a multifamily residential use, which is allowed in the zone?
Certainly, and I'm glad you brought that up. In both planning theory and under the municipal land use law, anytime there's an opportunity to replace a non-conforming use with a permitted conforming use, that is what advances the principles of good planning. That's what is before you this evening. And then just from a layperson's perspective, obviously this is more of an eyesore in today's contemporary sense, perhaps not when it was built, but in today's contemporary sense, given the vision for this hospital redevelopment area, the removal of this and replacement with permitted use is what good planning would dictate.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Could you just comment on the parking issue?
Yes. So in terms of the use variances, excuse me, not use, there are two. The amenity space and the parking, both, in my opinion, fit neatly within the C2 or flexible C variance context. That is that for the amenity space, in my professional opinion as a planner, it's a trade-off between meeting the strict application of the code requirement for amenity space and allowing some of the other features that Matt Evans described in his testimony. Given the advent of the rooftop, proximity to a park in the immediate vicinity, that trade-off, in my opinion, is justified. It also advances the purposes of zoning. If you were to approve this application, certainly subsection I, which is to promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design, would be advanced. And that's why Mr. Evans's testimony was so important in that context, particularly the use of the rendering and his description of the amenity spaces that are provided, showing that the tenants for the space will have adequate and quality open space and amenities. If you were to grant that relief, there'd be no detriment to the public good, particularly since the site is so close to a park, and there'd be no impairment to the zone plan. With respect to the parking, as council requested, I would argue that the C2 is again appropriate, and it's supported by a couple of things. I'm just going to read a brief section from the redevelopment plan, and it suggests that the city consider increasing parking opportunities and manage parking in the area by promoting shared parking between various land uses. And that's why Mr. Evans' testimony about the parking availability at the hospital is so important. From a planning perspective, this redevelopment plan speaks to making the area more walkable, reducing the dependence on vehicular trips, and to create opportunities for shared parking. That would be achieved if you were to grant our relief today. But I would just go one step further and submit to the board that the master plan also envisions a more realistic, if you will, parking supply for applications. I'm going to read a section from the master plan, and then I'll conclude with the proofs for the parking. According to the master plan, page 6-45, and I quote, while insufficient off-street parking can be problematic, excessive off-street parking has its own negative consequences as well. Providing off-street parking can be expensive and even cost prohibitive for a developer. And it also uses space that could potentially be put to another productive use. It goes on to suggest, as did the redevelopment plan, that shared parking is something to be considered as well. For all those reasons, I would submit to the board that the C2 proofs can be met. First of all, if you were to grant our relief, again, the purposes of zoning would be advanced, particularly subsection I. And this time, instead of the aesthetic, I focus more on the creative civic design portion of subsection I and rely on Matt Evans's testimony about how the design, the layout was designed to provide adequate and safe parking on site. I would go one step further and say, under the Anfuso v. Sealy court case, the board can consider when state policies are advanced as a supportive proof. In this application, if you were to grant the parking relief, smart growth principles of New Jersey would be advanced. Again, as this board knows, those principles include creating more walkable neighborhoods like your redevelopment plan requires, more dense, compact development. That would indeed be advanced if you were to grant our relief. Again, keeping in mind that there is off-site parking available at the hospital should it be needed. Now, Mr. Evans may speak later, but I've spoken to Mr. Evans on several occasions prior to this hearing And if he does speak, I'm sure you'll hear him say what I'm about to say. The applicant has vast experience in developing housing in this area, is very familiar with the real parking demand, and has shared with me that in this particular application, the supply meets the actual demand. There is a court case, the Valenti v. Obsequian court case, that suggests that when boards are satisfied that the real parking demand can be met, notwithstanding the fact that it does not meet the strict application of your code, under the C2 context, you can comfortably grant that relief. Madam Chair, Council, that would conclude my direct testimony, but I'm available to answer any questions the board and the audience may have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
I'm going,
Those are the witnesses that we have on direct testimony.
okay,
Subject to, of course, questions.
okay, thank you. I'm gonna open it up to the public. If anyone in the public has any questions of the planner or the architect, Mr. Evans or Mr. Williams, please call in at 973-321-1579, and the meeting ID is 711-680-001. I'm gonna allow 2 minutes or close to 3 minutes for call-ins and 3 minutes for questions. Do we have any callers at this time?
We have one, Madam Chair.
Okay, please, let's bring that person on.
Mr. Hassan Fanique, do you have any questions for the witnesses?
What's his last name?
Fanique, and I'm looking for him. Fanique.
Okay. You can take your, yes, take the display down, and then this way I can see his name.
Okay, and Madam Chair, I'll do that. Matt, did you tell me how you were able to remove yours, please?
I think I just brought the mouse up to the top. See if you can like touch the top of your screen with the mouse. It might pop down.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
No, it didn't.
Mr. Williams, if you look at the share tab, it will stop sharing. You could click on that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
And then, Madam Chair, I have IT saying just to give Mr. Fanique a couple of minutes to.
Okay, so while we're waiting for him, for the sake of time, I'm going to ask any of our commissioners. I actually have a question about the parking, Mr. Evans. It's the garage part. There's one way in, which I'm glad, one way out. That's perfect. But I would assume that those doors are somehow electric with the proper remote. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the tenants would have a remote, and they would have assigned parking. So when they enter the driveway, they would the door would open, and when they come in, it would close.
Okay, but they would not be able to open the other door, the exit door with it, would they, by mistake?
No, the exit door is only open from the inside, so there'll be a sensor that when they get to the door, it'll open up, and then when they leave, it'll close.
Okay, all right, well, that makes sense to me, because I was just a little concerned about that. Okay, did we get, does any other, let me take the commissioners. Commissioners, any questions of either witness? Commissioners, anybody?
This is Commissioner Figueroa.
Yes, Commissioner Figueroa, go ahead, please.
As far as I noticed that each floor is going to have a designated communal storage area and exercise area. How big is the storage area? Is it going to be?
Well, we have it's about 134 square feet. It's about 9 by 14, so it would have the ability to have some storage bins.
So they could store a few bins. Oh, okay, all right.
Will they be locked? I know I had a place, not so much here where I live now, but I had a place once in Florida, and I know like they had these little bins, not bins, but they were nice size where you could store a decent amount of stuff, not necessarily furniture, but you could store other things.
Like
And,
Christmas items and such.
it was like, they were locked, you know, you could have your own padlock on it so that nobody else is taking, is that how this is gonna work?
Yeah, so the door to enter the room would have, would be secure, and then there would be basically like cages,
Yes.
in there, and they would have the ability to store seasonal items and things like that.
All right, awesome.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
No other questions from our commissioners? Okay, do we have,
Excuse me, this is
Sorry.
Commissioner Santana.
yes, Commissioner Santana, go ahead, please.
Question. I know the parking is really, I guess, really limited, but I'm wondering whether you have space for bike storage.
Yeah, so on the first floor, in the front of the parking area, we show a bike rack is basically bike storage at the entry door to the right. We have several space for many bicycles to store adjacent to parking space 17. So we could provide parking in other areas, but that's designated there.
Commissioner
Okay,
Santana?
thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anyone else?
Commissioner Imran Hussein.
Yes, Commissioner Hussein, go ahead.
Well, I'm having same question as everybody else about the parking spaces. My concern is about parking space. I am very familiar with this area, and I know there are crises about parking spaces. You know, they're already having problem because of the visitor of the hospital and the neighbors. I mean, is there's something else? There's only a 46 space, but 16 there 16 have to be parked off the street. Okay, and the street are very busy. That can something else be done for parking? Like, can you add a stalker parking? Can they or possibility or
Well, not
you know the double the double parking the way I think it's called stalker
yeah.
parking. Is that possibility or no? In,
Yeah, we didn't propose that due to the fact that we have a circulation pattern that's pretty flexible for these parking spaces, and it's there's no it's the most efficient parking we could provide for this site, and as I mentioned before, anybody who would work at the hospital wouldn't need that any extra vehicles or maybe even a vehicle, and also that the hospital does provide parking for employees, and that could, as I mentioned, it was 24-hour parking, which would alleviate both the parking for the resident and work.
I got you. Thank you. That was only my concern.
Okay. Questions? Anyone else? Okay, if not,
Madam Chair.
yes, Commissioner Roman, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Was there any mention on any security, any camera, anything of that nature?
Yes, we're gonna have full video. We've done this in the past. We have on the cover page S1. We have a note that says entire site and site perimeter to be equipped with video security throughout public areas and site lighting along the traveled public way and parking area. Surveillance cameras to connect to the City of Paterson Police Department system. So that would be what we're proposing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hearing, Commissioner Lorenzo, go ahead.
Yes,
please.
I have a question. I don't understand that they're talking about 22,000 square feet and they proposing 12,000. I didn't understand that one.
That the zone, the MF multifamily zone has a minimum of 22,000 square feet. Our existing property is 12,500 feet. So that would be a pre-existing condition for any multifamily development for this site. So that's a pre-existing non-conforming condition that we've designed in accordance with.
So you're lacking a space there.
Yeah, that's the minimum. We are looking for a pre-existing variance for that lot area.
So you can reduce the building.
Well, as I mentioned, we have, the zone allows 95 feet in tall and 8-story building. We've reduced it, to a 62.5 and 5 stories, which is similar to the property across the street. If you look at the site location plan, lot 2 has that other building, which is similar square footage and scale and density to our development.
If you look at
That's why I believe that you're having a problem with the parking because the lack of land there to build.
well, if we look at the tax map of all the properties in that zone, this is one of the larger lot sizes in the whole area. You're next to the hospital, which is quite large, but with their very large parking area. But for all of the multifamily and one families and all the other residential uses, this is the largest lot in the whole area. There is nothing bigger.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is we have serious problem over there with the parking. It's really crazy. I was at the hospital Saturday. It was really crazy to find parking space over there. And that was my concern, okay?
Utilizing the hospital's parking garage and surfaced lots, of which they have an enormous amount of parking available. You probably saw it on a very busy day, and I have been there myself. Everyone has seen St. Joseph's Hospital, because it is the largest employer in Passaic County. And they've always been able to take care of everyone. There's always empty spaces there. But it's a huge parking garage and surface parking. There's special places for the doctors, there's special places for same-day surgery, there's plenty for visitors, plus neighborhood folks that want to park there because it's open parking, it's public parking. That was the way it was approved. So there is plenty of parking aside from our 30 parking spaces, but knowing how folks go into these apartments, and we've got a lot of experience in it, most probably the 30 spaces won't even be taken by tenants, because that seems to be historically what is happening. Not everyone wants a car, not everyone needs a car, not everyone wants that burden, and especially if you work at the hospital, you certainly don't need a car if you work at the hospital or any of the businesses surrounding the hospital.
I have a question. I just want to have a quick question for the planner. I believe you said this, and I believe Mr. Rubin just reiterated it. The surrounding properties that have very similar buildings on them, actually some of them are taller, so some of them have more units in them. Am I correct?
That's correct.
They're smaller property, more units, and less property.
Less property, and in some cases less parking. Like the old manufacturer's building, I believe, has 0 on-site parking.
I know parking is always an issue, and especially around the hospital, it is always a hardship. But on the other side of the coin, a lot of people that will be probably living in those complexes may not have a car. Some of them may be working in the hospital, will have access to that. So I don't know. It's an open-ended thing here, and it's always been a problem, especially in an urban downtown area. So I get it, but okay. I thank everyone for their questions. I'm going to move on. Do we have the caller?
Yes, we do. Mr. Hassim Fanique.
Where
Mr.
is he?
Fanique?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir. Sir, excuse me. Can you just
Yes.
spell the first and last name and provide your address, please?
Sure. First name is Hazim, Hazim. Last name is Fanik, Fanik. My address for the property that I own is on the around the corner on Atlantic. It's 187 Atlantic Street.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Fanik, please. Your question is for whom? Whom is the question for?
Well, since this is virtual, I don't know the planner from the architect, from the investors.
Just go ahead and ask your
If
question.
I may voice my question is definitely revolves around parking, but if I may make a couple of comments. St. Joe's parking is not free for use. It costs money. It's like $6 for 2 hours. I looked it up on the internet. When the gentleman mentioned the square footage variance and he said this is pre-existing, my understanding is that pre-existing means there's a structure that's existing already that's outside of the, that's grandfathered in. If we're knocking down a building and we're building something a lot bigger, there's nothing pre-existing about that condition. The car requirement, my concern is the parking. And, from that area, the parking is ridiculous. There's never room. The people in the hospital, they park on our streets. The people who go to the gym in St. Joe's, they park on our street. When it snows, everybody blocks their parking. You cannot find parking any day, sunny, raining. You can't find any parking. So when they need about 60 parking spaces and they're only allowing 30, that is ridiculous. I was and before COVID, we were sitting there in the building listening to another hearing for another proposed building right around the corner, and the issue was parking. It's not a joke. There's a property. I'm an investor. There's a property on Atlantic Street, beautiful 2-family house that I wanted to buy. I'm not going to even consider looking at it.
Mr. Fanik, I need to interrupt you a second.
Yes.
Madam Chair, this was for questions either for the planner or the architect.
Yes.
It doesn't appear that there are any questions, but certainly, Mr. Fanik, you'll be entitled to.
There is a question. How do you propose? There's a question.
Excuse me one second. Excuse me one second. Let me finish.
You interrupted me.
Mr.
This is my floor. You interrupted me.
Excuse me.
No, Mr.
Excuse me. Let me finish my point.
One person.
My point is this. Up until this point, you have not asked a question. You have been making comments. And you will be permitted to do that at the end of the application. If you have a question of the planner or architect, ask it now and leave your comments for the end. Thank you.
How do you plan to manage the parking? Yes, my question is, how do you plan to manage the parking, meet the parking requirement? The parking requirement requires, I think, 56 parking spaces. You're only allowing 30. How are you going to handle that?
Madam Chair, I can answer the questions I heard, and of course, I welcome Mr. Evans's support. I heard the interested party ask one question. It was about pre-existing nonconformities, and just to clarify for the board, for the audience, and for the record, the way the municipal land use law is written, it's pre-existing nonconforming conditions. This particular bulk and area standard speaks to the maximum lot area. The maximum lot area requirement is 22,000 square feet. Our existing condition is 12,500 square feet. It doesn't pertain to the built environment, just the size of the property. So that was the pre-existing nonconformity that I referenced in my direct testimony. The other clarification or point of clarification, I think this was recited by the board planner and Mr. Evans as well. It's not that 60 are required. Remember, after the credit that's received for the electric vehicles, the actual requirement for a strict compliance with the code would be, I believe, 46. we are proposing in this application 30 for a delta or deficiency of 16 spaces only. The testimony that was provided offered a few suggestions or support for the proofs, and those proofs are statutorily required in New Jersey under municipal land use law. And to meet those proofs, particularly for parking, there are a couple of things that can be submitted, and I thought I did that in my testimony, but just to repeat, access to public transportation, particularly in an urban context and in a redevelopment area. The options for other modes of transportation, and that's why Mr. Evans's testimony about the bicycle storage on site was so important to this application. First and foremost, it is a trend in contemporary urban development, and certainly something that we'd like to see more of in Paterson. Last but not least, I thought I mentioned in my testimony, in terms of meeting the 16 space deficiency, there is a court case called Homes of Hope, which allows boards to consider off-site parking accommodations to meet any on-site deficiencies. What bolsters that Homes of Hope court case in this matter is the fact that both the redevelopment plan suggests shared parking, and that's why our team went directly to the hospital, which is the center of this redevelopment plan, by the way, to see if parking was available on their property, and they responded in the affirmative. And then last but not least, the master plan, which is the comprehensive planning document for the city, speaks specifically to the need for consideration in parking supply flexibility, because particularly in redevelopment areas where you're trying to redress issues of blight, vacancies, abandonment, the intent is to incentivize development and investment in a redevelopment area, and sometimes seeking strict compliance with the parking demand is A, unrealistic, and B, defeats the purpose of redevelopment planning. So I hope that helps answer the question, but I wanted to clarify that for the questioner.
And I also would like to clarify, it wasn't 66, it's 56 spaces, and we're only looking for a variance for 16 spaces, meaning we're 16 spaces shy, especially when you're so close to a main street and an area that is offering parking. Then I don't think that's an enormous amount of money. That's my own comment. So I hope, Mr. Fanick, if you have something else you'd like to add, I will. Do you have any other questions?
No questions. I would like to have a chance to voice my opinion about a couple of things. That's all.
Okay, one moment. Okay. Do we have any other callers?
Not for this application, Madam Chair.
Not for this. Okay, so Mr. Fanick, I will open it up for comments. I will allow 3 minutes for your comments. Okay, so go right ahead and make them. And I know you wanted to. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam. The 16 places that the investors are asking for is 16 places too many to ask for a variance. There's a parking requirement for a reason, to assume that people don't need cars anymore, to assume people will take mass transportation. These are assumptions. The requirement is based on facts. I understand the master plan of redevelopment, and I'm all for it. I wish everybody good luck to make Paterson a beautiful city. I love the city, but can the streets handle this much traffic? Can our schools handle this many more people living, in these high-rise buildings? Our sewer system, our water, our electricity. Is there any plans to do that? Paterson is already congested. We don't have a subway system. Maybe if we have a subway system, make it like New York, Manhattan, and let's build high-rises. I'm all for it. I have a property there. That would benefit me. But again, parking is a humongous issue. Everybody will suffer if there's one more extra car that needs a parking spot in the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fanick, for your comments. Okay, would you like to summarize?
Madam Chair, can we close the public portion, please?
Oh, yes. Okay, I make a motion.
So wait, for the record, I'm sorry. And for the record, I'm sorry, Commissioner Roman has been in the meeting since Ms. Farsfood read her report. Okay, so he is able to vote.
Yes, okay, so I thought we counted him in when we did
No, we didn't. I just want
Okay,
to put it on the record.
I did see him there from the very beginning, I did. Okay, so are there any other questions from any of the other commissioners?
This is Commissioner Santana.
All right, before I take your question, I'm gonna close out the public portion. Okay, so first, I make a motion to close the public portion. Do I have a second?
I
Second, Madam Chair.
Thank you,
That
Commissioner
was
Eden.
who?
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo, okay, Commissioner Lorenzo, okay, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, good, we closed the portion. All right,
Thank
so now, Commissioner Santana, go right ahead, please. Your question?
Mr. Evans, having underground parking spaces will be a possibility in this project?
We basically, felt we met the need for the parking and the intent of the zone, by developing it with this. It would be, very difficult to provide that additional parking, with this design. So, we felt comfortable with the way, we proposed it with the ease of access for the tenants on the parking. Also, the parking, basically, you know, as Mr. Williams said in one of the cases, that the board could see that, you know, not every ordinance would require the same amount of parking. And as we mentioned, we're a block away from the hospital, and the hospital redevelopment plan has, you know, took this into consideration because they want to have local people to work at the hospital and have that ability to live, work in conjunction with the hospital.
I understand that every application we have around that area, you know, every application, the same comment is made about employees needing to rent or to work at the hospital. However, parking is really a concern. So reducing the amount of units in this project would also reduce the amount of parking space required. Would that be something that can be taken in consideration for this application?
Wait, can you repeat the question?
I will repeat it for her. She's asking if you reduce the number of units in that building, okay, will that reduce the number of parking spaces that are required? And the answer to that is yes, but the question to you or to the applicant is, can they reduce the number of people, the units? Am I correct, Vice Chair?
Yes, thank you.
That's the question.
So basically, you know, of course, you can always reduce the scope of the project. This is what we're proposing.
Can we swear in Mr. Reed and ask him if that's possible? Because he might be the right person to ask for that question.
Can certainly bring in the owner's representative.
Okay, please swear Mr. Reed in.
Mr. Reed, is the testimony you give today, do you swear that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Witness is now sworn.
Okay, thank you.
You are, could you please advise the board as to your position with the applicant?
I'm Director of Development.
You know what's happening with this development as well as all others.
Yes.
Question, well, you heard the question by resident and the commissioner. Everyone is talking about parking. Can you comment at all? Can we change the configuration of this building?
Yes, I hear the concerns of the commissioners and the neighbor, and I understand the dynamics of the St. Joe's Hospital area, and I understand that a lot of the parking spillages, people that goes to the hospital to visit people, they don't want to pay to park in the garage, so a lot of them park on the street, and that probably adds to the situation there. So just, being part of, good government, a community person, a neighboring person, I'm a Patersonian throughout. So like, I feel that we can probably remove one floor to reduce the number of units, which will, I can't tell off the top of my head, which will reduce the number of parking spaces we need, but I'm pretty sure it will reduce the parking variance. So
That,
I, as representative company, is willing to take off one floor of this
that's
project.
very generous of you, but I think now we have to ask, Ms. Farsbud, what would that mean to the parking?
Madam Chair, I have to take a look at the parking
Okay,
and then hold on a minute.
Well, we
Give me some time.
I'm gonna ask everybody if we can just let's just take a 5-minute break and let Ms. Farsbud do the calculations, and then we'll reconvene.
Okay.
Okay, we're off the record.
Thank you.
If any of my commissioners can hear me, since we're off the record, I'm gonna ask if you will let me know if anybody hears any of the arrangements for Ms. Cleaves, our commissioner. Can anyone hear me? Is anyone there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. All right. Just if anyone hears anything, please reach out to me. I thank you.
Okay.
I sure will.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
so if we're going to remove one floor.
Okay, that's okay. Wait, we're not on the record yet. Give it about 3 minutes.
Yes, okay.
Okay, and I'll just
I can double check my calculation then.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and do that. I'll give it 2 more minutes and then they'll come back.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Commissioners, are you back? No. Okay.
I'm here.
We're here, Madam Chair.
Okay, just let me make sure that I have Madam Secretary here.
I am here.
Okay, great. So, let's do,
Roll call.
we're back on the record, everyone. Let's get back on the record and let's do a roll call, make sure I have everybody.
Commissioner Ahmed. Commissioner Ahmed.
Okay, move on, let's see.
Commissioner Fisher.
I guess we don't have everybody.
Okay. Commissioner Figueroa.
Present.
Commissioner Hussein.
Yes, hello.
Okay. Commissioner Liranzo.
Yes.
Commissioner Roman.
Yes.
Commissioner Amar.
Yeah. I'm here.
Madam Vice Chair Santana.
Present.
Madam Chair Northup.
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Present.
And Commissioner Fisher.
Present.
Thank you.
We have everyone. Okay, we're back on the record. Okay, Ms. Forsberg, were you able to calculate?
I did, and also I need Mr. Evans' confirmation too. So if we're going to remove one floor, it means that we're going to remove 8 one-bedroom units and 2 two-bedroom units for a total of 10 units, 10 residential units. The parking requirement for each one-bedroom unit is 1.25 space per unit. And for each two-bedroom unit, the parking requirement is 1.5 per each unit. So meaning that that 8 one bedroom unit times 1.25 is going to be 10 parking spaces. And also 2 two-bedroom units times 1.5, which is the parking requirement, is going to be 3. So for a total of 13 parking spaces. Mr. Evans, I want you to basically confirm that if I'm doing the calculation correctly. So my calculation comes down to 13. It means that if you remove one floor, it means that you're reducing 13 parking spaces.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Evans, can you confirm that?
Yes,
That is confirmed.
yes.
Okay, so now we're down to we only need a variance for 3 spaces.
Exactly, because then we were short for 16 parking spaces.
Yep.
So then it's going to be 3.
Great.
Okay. All right. Did
I want to just Mr. Evans to double check my calculation because it was very quick.
Right.
We just want to check with ownership. We're okay.
So that's the 13 space reduction requirement and also reducing the units. And then we have the electric vehicle consideration. So I believe, taking that story off is definitely bringing it to conformity.
Okay, so let me
It's a 3-space deficiency.
Can you give me 1 minute, please?
I'm going to ask Mr. Deutsch, can you possibly confirm?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Rubin, obviously these figures are being double checked right now, but is it the applicant's amendment of the application on the record? And if it is, can you please amendment on the record, please?
I have to defer to the owner's representative to make sure that we're on sound ground.
Yep, understood.
And I assume we are.
Well, does everybody agree that it is the 13 spaces now that we are going to be eliminating, leaving only a 3-space deficiency. Does everyone agree on that?
Yes.
Well, Madam Chair, before we get to that, the issue is that this would not be a condition of approval if the board were so inclined to move or to actually approve it. This would be an amendment on the record. So what I need is for Mr. Rubin, on behalf of the applicant, to actually amend the application on the record. Obviously, a condition would be that revised plans be submitted and approved by our planner, reflecting the amended construction. But I do need on the record a representation that the revision as represented is actually what is before the board now, at this time. And I believe that's what Mr. Rubin is confirming with Mr. Reed.
Can I add something, Madam Chair? So for definitely say that how much parking will be reduced? Definitely, when you reduce one floor, there would be a parking reduction. So the proposed parking, what they're proposing that for 30 parking spaces, when you remove that one floor, so basically you are reducing the more nonconformity of the lack of the parking. So basically you're just conforming more with the parking requirements, no matter how much reduction you do, even 1 parking spaces, 2 parking spaces. This is even more than, because you're removing 10 residential units.
Correct.
So as Mr. Acquaviva, I agree with Mr. Acquaviva. That would be just the amendment to the building, to the site plan. So that wouldn't be the condition that how many parking should be provided on the plan.
Thank you, Madam Planner. And Madam Chair, I want to make one point so we can try to maybe make this clear. The application, assuming Mr. Rubin consulted with Mr. Reed, and the application is now going to be amended on the record to remove 10 units, otherwise, or 1 floor. Assuming that is the amendment on the record, then obviously the parking variance changes down to, from what I'm hearing, a 3-space variance, but also the area would also be reduced. So everything gets reduced based upon the reduction of the units, and that's the easy part as far as calculating all of that to fit it all in. But before we get to that point, we need to know that this is actually going to be an amendment that is being placed on the record tonight.
And Mr. Acquaviva, not the area, but the open space and amenities would be.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Williams. My apologies. Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay. You're muted. I can't hear anything that you're saying over there, Mr. Rubin.
We just had to confer with ownership. There are 10 residential units on floors on 3rd through 5th floors, and we will take out one of the floors in the proposed 3rd through 5th floors as shown on the plan, consisting of 8 one-bedroom units and 2 two-bedroom units. They would be off the plan and resulting in a deficit of 3 units, and we respectfully ask that the board entertain an application for 3 deficit parking spaces in the indoor off-site plan.
All right, but we're.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin.
Okay, so then, are you satisfied with that, Mr. Acquaviva?
Yes, I'm satisfied with that, but obviously, Madam Chair, we did have our one interested party who still is free to make whatever comments he wants to make.
He made them already.
Based upon the revised well, we have a revised application at this point. I don't know if we closed the public portion, so I don't even know if he's here standing to actually make any type of representation at this point.
He's still in the room, so we can ask him if he has any
Thank you,
questions, and we open the public portion.
Yes, thank you, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Fanick, do you have any questions or do you have any comments regarding the amendment to this application?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I need
It
a
should be,
motion.
Noted, Madam Chair, and members of the board, that the amenity space would also be reduced, so the variance there would be reduced also. Some small measure, but
Right.
also would be reduced as far as the variance requested. Just a minor thing.
Okay, so then I just need a motion to close this public portion, please.
I make a motion to close the public portion.
I need a second.
Second.
Second by
All in
Commissioner
favor?
Alonso. Aye.
Aye.
Everyone saying aye.
Aye.
I don't hear anybody, please.
But I just,
Okay.
Aye.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So
Okay.
now we are, Mr. Acquaviva, now we are looking for a motion for an amended application to be approved by the planner.
That's correct, Madam Chair. The motion to approve or deny, for that matter, would apply to the application, which now consists of, Madam Planner, how many units in total now?
10.
We're reducing it by 10, so how many units is the proposal?
It's 40 units for total. It's 40 units.
Okay, so that would be.
But we're reducing one floor. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, so the motion would pertain to that amendment, and the condition would be that amended plans be submitted to the satisfaction of our planner and board personnel.
Correct.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
What is your motion, Commissioner Lorenzo?
Making the amendment to the application
No, I know, but is it to accept or accept it?
to approve.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, God, I can't take this anymore. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I
can hear you
you
clearly,
know
Madam
what?
Chair.
My computer just went completely out, so I thought I lost everybody again. All right,
Sorry about
that's okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Santana?
that. Yes.
Was that Commissioner Santana, second?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Figueroa.
Yes.
Commissioner Hussein.
Yes.
Commissioner Lidanzo.
Yes.
Commissioner Roman.
Yes.
Commissioner Amar.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair Santana.
Yes.
Madam Chair Northrop.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
your assistance.
Thank you. I want to make a motion to close this meeting.
So move.
Seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Lorenzo. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Fisher.
Yes.
Commissioner Figueroa.
Yes.
Commissioner Hussein. Commissioner Lidanzo.
Yes.
Commissioner Roman.
Yes.
Commissioner Amar.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair Santana.
Yes.
And Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a second application on this evening. So I'm going to ask everyone to once again stand for the flag salute.
Do we have?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and
Justice for all.
justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, Commissioners, Planning Board staff, ladies and gentlemen, as Chairwoman of the City of Paterson's Planning Board, I call this meeting of October 3rd, 2022 to order. I hereby state that all the provisions of the State of New Jersey Public Meeting Law have been fully and completely met, that the notice of provisions required have been properly posted in the Planning Board office and with the City of Paterson clerk, that the public notice and advertisements have been published in the Herald News on September 22nd, 2022, in accordance with the law, and that the copies of such notice and public advertisements are on file in the Planning Board office, as is also the agenda listing the applications to be taken up by the Planning Board at this meeting. Tonight's procedure will be in accordance with the rules, regulations, and bylaws as hereto determined by the Planning Board at its office at 125 Ellison Street in the City of Paterson. Madam Secretary, may we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
I believe he said he may not make the second.
Yes.
Oh, he is here. Okay, great.
Commissioner Figueroa,
Present.
Commissioner Hussein,
Yes, here.
Commissioner Lidanzo,
Present.
Commissioner Roman,
Yes, here.
Commissioner Amar,
Present.
Madam Vice Chair Santana,
Present.
and Madam Chair
Yes, here.
Marta. Thank you.
Okay. Notice pursuant to the Open Public Act, consistent with the coronavirus-related restrictions of Executive Order Number 107, given on Saturday, March 21st, 2020, by Governor Philip D. Murphy, the Planning Board of the City of Paterson will not conduct in-person participation of the public at all future meetings until further notice. However, public participation will be available by means of communication equipment pursuant to NJSA 10:4-8, commencing on April 15, 2020. Though there may potentially be a particular need for a limited number of administrative, technical, or other city personnel to be present in the city, in or near the City Council chambers, 3rd floor, City Hall, 155 Market Street, Paterson, New Jersey, in-person participation of the public is prohibited. Nevertheless, for reasons of compliance with the said Executive Order Number 107, public participation will be available by calling 973-321-1579, and the meeting ID is 711-680-001, on the date and time that the meeting is scheduled to commence, which is this evening. The public may also participate in the meeting by accessing the website of the City of Paterson, www.patersonnj.gov, and following the email link for this meeting, which is www.patersonnj.gov. We have Paterson Fund 1 LLC 278-280 Hamilton Avenue, Block 3513, lots 10 and 11. Who is representing this applicant this evening?
Madam Chair, Michael Rubin is here and representing Paterson Fund 1 LLC, offices at 1330 Hamburg Turnpike, Wayne Township. This is for property at 278-280 Hamilton Avenue in the city. And we are ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you. On a combined 5,000 square foot lot, the applicant proposes to remove the existing dwelling on lot 11 and construct a new three-story residential building with a total of 11 units. The first floor proposes a 422 square foot accessible handicap unit, 2 stairwells, a lobby, bike storage, a package area, a sprinkler room, a refuge and recycling room, and parking for 5 spaces, including 1 handicap space. The second and third floors each propose 5 one-bedroom units on each floor. The proposal is within the RA-2 zone of the 4th Ward Redevelopment Plan. Variances are requested for the following. 1 side yard setback, as a minimum side yard setback of 5 feet is required and 3 feet is proposed. Lot building coverage, as a maximum lot coverage of 60% is required and 73% is proposed. Lot impervious coverage, as a maximum lot impervious coverage of 80% is permitted and 82% is proposed. Open space amenity area, as 1,650 square foot is required and 500 square feet is proposed. and parking as 11 spaces are required and 5 spaces are proposed. In addition, 1 space credit is given for electrical vehicle charging stations, resulting in a variance request for 5 parking spaces. It requires site plan approval and bulk variances, and this is their first appearance. And I'm going to ask Mr. Deutsch to please give us his review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Property taxes and sewer charges are current. Persons having a 10% or greater ownership interest in Paterson Fund 1 LLC are Matthew Florio, Alan Shayenfaker, Raymond Davudi, and Radney Davudi, all providing a business address of 175 Broadway, Paterson, New Jersey. As indicated on the property survey prepared by Thomas Stearns, licensed surveyor, and dated December 5th, 2019, combined parcels 10 and 11 have frontage of 50 feet on Hamilton Avenue, a rear lot line that also measures 50 feet, and western and eastern side lot lines that measure 100 feet each. A 2.5-story frame dwelling exists on lot 11. The combined parcels have area of 5,000 square feet or 0.12 acres. Hamilton Avenue is a one-way street in an easterly direction. This proposal is located on the southern side of Hamilton Avenue, approximately 170 feet westerly of the intersection of Hamilton Avenue and Rosa Parks Boulevard. Evans Architects has prepared a 4-page architectural submittal dated February 10th, 2022. Drawing S1 is the site plan. Details are shown for the water connection, seepage pit section, concrete vertical curb, and roadway pavement widening, fence detail, lighting detail, the zoning ordinance data, and the 200-foot radius map. The proposed site plan indicates the outline of the existing dwelling to be removed. The new building is proposed to cover 73% of the lot and has an approximate dimension of 87 feet in length and 44 feet in width. The building is proposed to be 3 feet from the front property line, 10 feet from the rear property line, and 3.08 feet from both the eastern and western side property lines. To the east, a 2.5-story residential building exists, and to the west, a 2.5-story residential building with a detached garage with a parking area exists. A 12-foot curb cut is proposed on Hamilton Avenue to provide vehicular access into the garage. 2 street trees are also proposed to be placed in front of the building. A note on the plan indicates the entire site and site perimeter is to be equipped with video security throughout public areas and site lighting along the traveled public way and parking areas. Surveillance cameras are to connect to the City of Paterson Police Department system. Drawing S2 is the site plan with soil erosion details and notes. A permit is required from the Hudson Essex Passaic Soil Conservation Service prior to final approval. Drawing SK1 indicates the first floor plan, the second and third story plan, the apartment tenant schedule, and proposed sign detail. The first floor plan indicates parking for 5 vehicles, including 1 handicap space, a sprinkler room, a bike storage area located at the southeast corner of the building, the secondary access stairwell located at the southwest corner of the building, a refuse and recycling room accessible from an exterior door located on the western side of the building, a lobby which leads to a stairwell, a package room, and to a 422 square foot studio unit that includes a mechanical closet, a laundry closet, a combined kitchen, living, sleep, and dining area, and a full bathroom. On either side of the 12-foot garage access door, signs will be appropriately placed reading either yield to incoming vehicles or yield to outgoing vehicles. The overhead garage door located at Hamilton Avenue leads to the 5-space parking garage, which includes 1 handicap parking space. An exterior door at the rear of the building leads to the interior of the second enclosed stairwell. The floor plan for the second and third floor plans are identical in layout. Each floor has 5 units, which includes 5 one-bedroom units containing 601, 602, 603, 614, and 619 square feet. All one-bedroom units include a mechanical closet, a laundry closet, a kitchen, a full bathroom, and a dining room and living room area. The front unit on both the second and third floor indicate a balcony that extends 3 feet from the building with a proposed width of 22 feet and 6 inches. Drawing SK2 are the building elevations. The front elevation view from Hamilton Avenue indicates the garage entry door and the pedestrian access door into the lobby area. The building indicates a brick veneer facade, single and triple hung windows on the upper floors, and a rooftop molding. The rear elevation view of the building indicates a door leading from the first floor to the rear yard and another door from the second stairwell. There is one set of double hung windows on each of the upper floors. The first floor has a brick finish and the upper floors propose a stucco finish. The left side elevation indicates a brick first floor facade. The upper floors propose one single window and 4 double casement windows in each floor surrounded by a stucco facade. The right side elevation indicates 1 double window, an opening indicating the placement of 3 of the 5 vehicle parking spaces, and a brick facade. The upper floors indicate 1 single window and 4 double casement windows on each floor surrounded by a stucco facade. This is a flat roof building with a parapet wall of which mechanical units are located behind. The building indicates a top height of 31 feet. The intent of the RA-2 residential district, the 4th Ward redevelopment plan, is to permit a more intensive residential use of land with various types of dwellings. The surrounding existing buildings consist of mainly older multifamily dwellings with some newer 2-family dwellings constructed in the 2- and 3-story height range. Within the RA-2 district of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan, there are other examples of both new and recently approved multiple unit residential buildings that have replaced older structures that have either been vacant and abandoned or on long vacant lots. The applicant requests variances for the following conditions for this proposed 11-unit structure. Rear yard setback as a minimum of 20 feet is required and 8 feet is proposed. Both side yard setbacks as a minimum side yard setback of 5 feet is required and 3 feet is proposed. Lot building coverage as a maximum lot building coverage of 60% is required and 73% is proposed. Lot impervious coverage as a maximum lot impervious coverage of 80% is permitted and 82% is proposed. Open space and amenity area as 1,650 square feet is required and 500 square feet is proposed. 1 parking space for the 1 studio and 10 one-bedroom dwelling units is required, for a total of 11 off-street parking spaces. As 5 off-street parking spaces are proposed, a variance for 6 off-street parking spaces is requested. An additional 1 space credit is given for an electric vehicle charging station, resulting in a variance request for 5 parking spaces. The intent of the RA-2 residential district of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan, I already said this. Going on to the next paragraph, the applicant shall request that the city tax assessor merge the 2 lots into 1 common lot number. It shall be the responsibility of the applicant and or preparer of the plan to obtain a letter from the city engineer indicating the plans have been satisfactorily reviewed prior to the plans being released to the construction official. Surrounding land uses. This proposal is the Wrigley Park section of the city within the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. On the same side of the street of this proposal, an elementary school, I believe it's School 6, is located at the corner of Carroll Street and at the opposite corner of Rosa Parks Boulevard and Hamilton Avenue, the Bragg Funeral Home is located. There are some newer 3-story, 2-unit dwellings near this proposal. On the opposite side of Hamilton Avenue are mainly older 2.5-story dwellings of at least 2 units. Concluding remarks, the applicant estimates the cost of this proposal at approximately $600,000. The applicant should incorporate the design elements contained within the 4th Ward redevelopment plan on the site and within the building. That is your staff review for this proposal, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Deutsch. Okay, Mr. Rubin?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, our first witness is Mr. Evans, if he could be sworn.
Mr. Evans, is the testimony you give do you swear that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
The witness is not sworn.
Mr. Evans, qualifications are allowed by the board.
Yes, we accept him as an witness. Thank you.
Mr. Evans, 278, 280 Hamilton Avenue. What do we have as far as architectural plans?
Okay, basically what we have, as illustrated by Mr. Deutsch, are the, we're proposing a 3-story structure with parking and handicap unit at the ground level. And we have several units above. I can share my screen, maybe, give me a second. I'm going to share the rendering first. So here's the, you can see that? Okay.
Yes.
So we have, this is what it would look like from the street. You can see the adjacent structures. They're multi-families. Basically, a lot of these smaller lots, 25 by 100, without parking. We're proposing a new structure with at-grade parking garage, and predominantly the units will be on the 2nd and 3rd floor. From the street, we have a mix of materials, brick, stucco, and vertical siding, along with awnings, cornice, and balconies to give it more of an aesthetic appeal from the street. Share the plan. So we have the submission, which is a 4-sheet submission. We have the zoning table. Looking at the zoning table, we're in the RA2 zone. Apartments, multifamily is permitted. We meet predominantly most of the pre-existing requirements. Lot area. We tried to meet the setbacks. We met the front side. We're looking for relief on one of the other sides, 1.92 feet. The rear setback also, and then we have building coverage, which is over from 60 to 73%, and we have impervious, maximum is 80, and we have 82%, so we're looking at 2% discrepancy. We're over on that. And the open space, we have 500 square feet open space in the rear yard, where 1650 is required. The parking also, we have 6 parking spaces where the ordinance requires 11. Looking at the sheet S1, we have the site plan, site location, basically the drainage and other site improvements details, showing sheet S2 with the same condition. We have soil erosion plan and some of the sidewalk, curb cut, and handicap details. And then we have the first floor plan and the 2nd and 3rd floor plan. So basically what we have on the first floor, we have a nice large lobby and package area. We have refuse recycling, sprinkler, and then we have a handicap unit to the rear of the lobby. All the units would have laundry facilities, so they're all independent central air conditioning and heating with laundry and kitchen. What we propose is a nice open living, dining, kitchen plan, and we have the parking in that driveway on the first floor. Also bike storage in the rear. All the unit square footages meet the minimum requirement for the units. I'll go through. The front unit is 603 square feet. That's a 1-bedroom. And unit 202 and 203 would have all open plan, laundry facilities, mechanical, and that's a 1-bedroom unit. 1 bedroom unit 203-303 is 602 square feet. Unit 204-304 is 614 square feet, and unit 205-305 is also 601 square feet. They all meet the minimum requirement for the area. I showed the front elevation rendering, which illustrates the how we've designed this building. You can see on the 2-dimensional layout, we have a nice mix of materials, and that would be adding an aesthetic improvement to the area, as you saw on the rendering, and also from the front elevation layout. The right side, left side, and rear are a little more simple because it's it wouldn't be on the street, it's on the side. We show mechanical units being screened also from the with that parapet design. So that's basically what we're proposing for this application.
What about the amenity, rear of the building?
Yeah, so we have a rear yard amenity space that would be for the tenants, basically quiet enjoyment for the tenants in the rear yard. Also, we have security cameras throughout in the rear, and all the public ways connected to the city of Paterson Police Department.
In your professional opinion, does this proposed building fit into the scheme of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan? Is it within the content and spirit of the plan?
Yes.
We're in the RA2 zone, and you're able to build and design this building using all of the requirements in the redevelopment plan.
Yes.
Thank you. Those are the questions I would have.
All right, do you have just the one other witness?
Mr. Williams is ready.
All right, please, then bring him in.
Sworn.
Sworn in.
Mr. Williams, does the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
It most certainly is.
Thank you. The witness is sworn.
Mr. Williams' qualifications are allowed by the board.
Yes, yes, we accept him as an expert witness. Thank you. Please proceed.
Mr. Williams, talk to us about the you as your professional planning testimony.
Certainly, again, good evening, commissioners and staff. This is an application for which we prepared by looking at the local land development documents, your redevelopment plan, specifically the 4th Ward redevelopment plan, and your 2014 master plan. All of that in the context of the municipal land use law. We also reviewed the site plan applications that are before you this evening and have visited the site on several occasions. Again, for this one, most recently this evening by myself. We looked at the literature and case law in support of the release we're seeking this evening, and of course had an opportunity to read or review Mr. Deutsch's review memo, which he provided a moment ago. The application is for 278 Hamilton Avenue. It is, as was mentioned, in the Wrigley Park neighborhood and identified in your municipal documents as tax documents as block number 3513, lot numbers 10 and 11, and it is in the RA2 district of the redevelopment plan. The intent, as Mr. Deutsch read, this plan is to, for RA2 rather, is to permit a more intense residential use of land with various types of dwellings. Density is maintained at the medium range, while building height is kept low enough to be generally compatible with the other development in the area. I would just add to that, commissioners, the intent and purpose of the redevelopment plan, as you all know, is to stimulate development and the economy, to rebuild neighborhoods that have suffered. And in the redevelopment plan, it mentions the following. I'll read this as a quote. The 4th Ward have been plagued by issues of neglect and abandonment for decades, while there has been in recent years some new investment into the community, there is still a great need for revitalization. As this board knows, Paterson, in my opinion, has done a great job of using the redevelopment planning tool to stimulate development in its areas. And this applicant has been one of the most significant promoters of the redevelopment plan implementation. I won't go through the recitation of reliefs again. They were captured by both your board planner and Mr. Evans. Suffice to say, this application has a few more bulk and area deviations than the previous application on Camden, but in my professional opinion, those deviations are relatively minor, and none of them would detract from the intent, purpose of your redevelopment plan, your master plan, and certainly would not constitute a substantial detriment to the public good. In point of fact, in my professional opinion, if you were to grant the release being sought today, both for approval of the site plan and the variances, you would be, in fact, advancing the purposes of your redevelopment plan and your master plan. Specifically, in terms of the advancement of the redevelopment plan, one of the several of the goals include the following: revitalize the fourth ward of the city, which is the intent and purpose of this application, by removing an abandoned and boarded up structure and replacing it with something that we submit. It would be a vast improvement to the site and the community, not just the applicant. And that's why Mr. Evans' use of the renderings was important and poignant. Reduce the blighting impacts of abandoned and vacant properties. That is exactly what would occur if you were to approve our application. And last but not least, one of the goals is to provide quality new housing options for area residents. And that is part of the mission of this applicant and would be achieved if you were to grant our application. I won't go through the master plan goals and objectives now, but they mirror those of the redevelopment plan by encouraging infill housing and addressing problems with abandonment and vacancies. With that, Madam Chair, Commissioners, I'd like to share an exhibit.
Please.
Thank you. Commissioners, the exhibit that's loading is very similar to one that was used in the prior application. It is a group of images, some taken directly from your land use documents and the remainder captured during our field observations. Commissioners, I'm just using this exhibit to give a bit more context, but you all are as familiar with this area, if not more so than I. But again, for the context for the remainder of my testimony, slide number 2 is an aerial photograph. We always find this helpful just to provide the location of the site in a context that makes sense for the remainder of the testimony. In this slide, the property is identified by the dashed bold red lines on Hamilton Avenue. And again, you can see some of the development by looking at the rooftops that was mentioned in Mr. Deutsch's testimony. Or report, excuse me. Slide number 3, again, just to provide for the record that the property is squarely located in the RA2 district. In this graphic, it is highlighted by the solid bold red line. This application does include a parking variance, a bit less than the last one, but because of the parking variance, always think it's good to include as part of our exhibit a graphic directly from the redevelopment plan, which shows the access to public transportation in the immediate vicinity. And you can see by looking at slide number 4, this site is very well served by public transportation options. Commissioner, slide number 5 captures the existing site and development on that site. You can see that the white building is boarded and in a state of disrepair. If you were to grant our application, this would be removed and replaced with what I would submit is a much more appealing aesthetic and functional building, which comports with your redevelopment plan. And that was the rendering shared by Matt Evans a bit earlier. Just to give the board a sense of some of the other land development patterns, I would submit that the land development pattern in this area is very varied. You've got houses like the ones shown here, which appear to be anywhere from 2 to 4 dwelling units. And then you have more intense development in the immediate vicinity as well. Slide number 7 just shows similar land development to what was shown in a prior slide. Worth noting is that there are a number of properties in the immediate vicinity on Hamilton Avenue that do not have any on-site parking. Excuse me. As mentioned earlier, there are some similarly scaled and massed developments that were recently approved in the area. Certainly 154-156 Hamilton, 146 Hamilton Avenue, and 118 Hamilton Avenue. That takes us to the remainder of my testimony. Let me see if I can remove this exhibit. And I can always bring it back up if there are questions or comments. Commissioners, the remainder of my testimony is about the release, again, captured in your board planners review memo and by Mr. Evans. There are a number of what I would characterize as minor bulk and area deviations, minimum side yard setback both sides, minimum rear yard setback, maximum building lot coverage, maximum lot coverage, minimum open space and amenity space, and parking. For the purpose of my testimony, I would submit to the board, I would aggregate the bulk and area deviations and then address the parking variance separately. Under the pull-in court case, as this board has heard me say before, the court allows the boards to consider the development as a whole, and if those separate deviations, when looked at as a whole, lead to a better development proposal, then the board may grant the requested relief. I would submit in this case, the C2 would be most appropriate. The flexible C2 variance context allows the board to consider if what is being proposed is a better zoning alternative than a strict application of the code, and if the trade-offs as a whole make sense to the board, and that there's no substantial detriment to the public good or substantial impairment to the zone plan. In my professional opinion as a planner, that's certainly the case for this application. As you know, C2 variances must be grounded in the purposes of zoning. And even though these are bulk and area deviations, I would begin with purpose A, a bit of a catch-all, and that is to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. From a very general perspective, subsection A is a bit of a catch-all. Anytime in a redevelopment area, in particular where a blighted condition is removed, you would be advancing the general health, safety, and welfare. In this application, we go a step further by replacing the blight with what is, in our opinion, a far better land development on a site that benefits not just the applicant, but the surrounding community as well. Subsection I, again, to promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design. And this, I think, is particularly important for the bulk and area deviations, because in my professional opinion, if you were to grant our reliefs for the bulk and area deviations, you could rely upon the design and aesthetics as testified to by Matt Evans, specifically when you look at the rendering and how the overall site can accommodate what's being proposed, and that the trade-offs are such that even with those deviations, you end up with a better housing typology and project without any detriment to the surrounding area. Certainly no substantial detriment. And that leads me to the rest of the C2 criteria. No substantial detriment to the public good and no substantial impairment to the zone plan. In my opinion, if you were to grant those reliefs, there would be no substantial detriment to the public good. In fact, you would see an improvement to the neighborhood characteristics, the advancement of your redevelopment plan goals and objectives. And it's just a perfect segue into no substantial impairment to the zone plan. Begin with a discussion of the redevelopment plan goals and objectives, as well as the master plan goals and objectives. And based on those goals and objectives, there would be certainly no substantial impairment to the zone plan. Again, in fact, in my opinion, it would be an advancement of your zone plan. Commissioners, that leaves us with the parking variance. Unlike the prior application, the deviation from the strict application of the code is a bit less. We would be shy 5 parking spaces that are required on the site. In the C2 context or RSIS de minimis exception would both be appropriate for your consideration of this relief. Either way you look at it, whether it's C2 or RSIS de minimis exception, in my opinion, the relief could be granted for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the access to public transportation that was shown in the exhibit earlier. The fact that this is in a redevelopment area and the intent of the applicant is actually to not deprive tenants of parking spaces, but rather to meet the real demand of those tenants for on-site parking. And that is grounded in their empirical data and experience in the Fourth Ward in particular, but I would submit around Paterson as a whole. They now have a very good sense of what their market capture tenants look for in this type of development for parking, and are satisfied that what's being proposed actually will meet the real demand. Commissioners, if you accept that premise from the applicant, and that's part of my testimony, there is a court case which suggests that if the commissioners are satisfied that the real demand for parking is met on site, as opposed to the strict application of the code, then the board may grant that relief. And that court case is the Valenti v. Obsequian court case. And so I would submit that to the board. In terms of the proofs, again, the same purposes of zoning would be met. Subsection A, subsection I won't go through those again, but I would submit that the good civic design portion of subsection I has been demonstrated in Mr. Evans's drawings. You heard me mention in a previous application that the redevelopment plan and the master plan include language specific to flexibility in parking. I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to read that into the record as well. The master plan mentions, and I quote, while insufficient off-street parking can be problematic, excessive off-street parking has its own negative consequences as well. Providing off-street parking can be expensive and even cost prohibitive for a developer, and it also uses space that could potentially be put to another productive use. That statement from your master plan is particularly poignant given the intent and purpose of a redevelopment plan, and the intent is to incentivize development and investment, not to hinder it. Taken in the context of the Valenti court case, in my opinion, the relief that's being requested is appropriate and could be granted with no substantial detriment to the public good or impairment to the zone plan. Commissioners, that would conclude my direct testimony, but as always, I remain available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very
Mr.
much.
Williams, if I can ask you one last question, in your professional opinion, does what is being proposed in this application within the spirit and content of the Fourth Ward redevelopment plan for the RA2 zone?
Council, yes, in my professional opinion, it squarely fits in the four corners of the redevelopment plan, particularly the removal of blighted or abandoned conditions, the improvement and stabilization of neighborhoods in the Fourth Ward, and the overall intent of the goals and objectives of the master plan as well.
Thank you very much. That is the direct testimony for all witnesses. In the event that the owner's representative is called upon, he is, of course, on call to answer any questions if needed.
Okay, I'm going to open this up to the public. Is anyone in the public?
We have 4 callers, Madam Chair, but we have to wait till they get online.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to just read it again. If anyone has any questions of either the planner or the architect, they may call in at 973-321-1579. The meeting ID is 711-680-001. Are any of them on the line just yet?
No, I don't see them. Hold on 1 second. No, not yet. So if you want to go ahead with questions from the commissioners.
I'm going to open it up to the commissioners. Any questions, commissioners, of either Mr. Evans or Mr. Williams? Okay. Since there are no questions, we'll just wait. I'm going to allow the 2 minutes for the call-ins and 3 minutes for questions only. Questions only. Are they holding back because I said questions only? If they only have comments?
No. They're logging in. It takes a while before they're in line, and then they just have to get them on.
Yep. Okay.
And then they just have to get them on. Yep. Okay, they're logging in. I will call the first person. I see 2 of them logged in.
I hear them, excuse me, I also hear them all talking in the background. Please instruct them what they have to do so that we don't hear any background music, okay? Yeah. Okay?
Okay. And IT will mute them. Hold on 1 second. I'm getting the name of the first caller.
No, I need them muted. I'm sorry, I need them muted.
They're locked in. I will call the first person. I see 1, 2 of them locked in.
Nope.
Hold on 1 second, Madam Chair. Okay, it's done. Okay, let me go back. Sorry. The first caller that I have is Mr. Edward Black. I don't see the number. Hold on, that's not him. I see Miss Patricia Glover. Miss Glover, are you there?
Do they know how to unmute themselves?
We might have to unmute them ourselves.
I just requested her to unmute.
Is that Miss Glover?
Miss Glover, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
I hear somebody else in the background. The court stenographer can only hear one person at a time. And so therefore, if I hear any noise in the background, I'm gonna have to go on to another caller because it's just too confusing.
No, Madam Chair, that was me. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So we have Miss Glover on the phone.
Yes.
Miss Glover, you there? Okay. Do you have, these are for questions. This time is for questions only. If you have comments, you can make them at the end. But this is for questions of either Mr. Evans, okay, or the planner, Mr. Williams.
Okay. My question I have 2 questions. For the planning, are these parking spots free to the tenants? Or are they going to be charged for parking?
They're for tenants. They're tenants parking.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Her question is, are you going to charge for the tenant parking or are they free?
I have no idea. That's a owner's,
Okay, hold on. I'll get the owner sworn in. 1 second, Ms. Glover. Hold on, please. Can we swear
I
in?
don't know if that's been.
Okay, let's just swear in Mr. Reed.
Answer that,
All right, we're going to swear in Mr. Reed. Go ahead, please swear in Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed, is the testimony you give today going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Witness is not sworn.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you heard the question from Ms. Glover. Okay, can you answer Mr. Reed?
Yes, the parking will be available for any tenant that needs it and is available, and it will not be additional charge.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Glover, your next question?
Okay, the next question is, the building, the unit is being 11 unit. My question is, why is it being 11 unit from a 2-family house? I mean, how do that make it better?
that's our design.
Excuse me?
That's our design. That is the design that we're applying for.
Because I heard.
If I may add, ma'am, it's a 2-family house as well as a vacant lot next door.
Do you understand, Ms. Glover? There's 2 lots there.
Okay, but the units is not enough parking for the lot, for the people.
Your comments can be reserved for the end, but your question, I thought your question was, how does this make it better? And
Okay, and my next question to him was, hold on, can you hear me?
Yes.
My next question is, did Mr. Reed speak to anyone on the block school 6 brags about this unit and how it will affect us living here?
Well, that's not an appropriate question, please, Madam Chair. We're talking about land use of the application.
I'll wait to the comment part. I'll wait to the comment part.
Okay.
Madam Chairperson, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Fisher. That question is probably for Mr. Reed, not for the architect or anyone. That question is for him to answer, not them. So it is a good question, but it's just not for them to answer.
Yeah, but what they're saying is the application is the application. Like usually the applicants don't go around the whole property and the neighbors and ask. But if Mr. Reed,
This is just a yes or no. Yeah, yes or no.
If Mr. Reed would like to ask or answer the question.
Well, no, I did not go to the Bragg Funeral Home and ask them about it, but the application and then public notice is out there, and anyone was welcome to ask us any questions about it.
Okay. Can I have the next caller, please?
Mr. Edward Black? Mr. Black, are you there? Okay, he is not. I requested to unmute, but
hello.
Oh,
I hear him. I see him.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Edward Black. Would you?
Yes,
would you
I don't
please?
have questions. I have comments. So when can I make my comments?
At the end, I'll announce it. Okay.
Okay. Do I hold on? Do I hold on now or hang up? How
Yes.
do I handle this?
just hold on, sir.
But mute yourself.
Okay.
I'll mute him right now, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
The next caller is Miss G. Greer.
Good evening.
Greer. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Greer.
Yes. Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Is your question
hello.
for the planner or is it for the architect?
Chairwoman, my question is actually for the planner because he mentioned, and I just want to, I don't know if you commissioners visit the site, but I just want to, the planner mentioned that this was abandoned and vacant site. And that's not
Well, do you have a question?
accurate.
All right, so your question is you want to ask the planner?
Chairwoman, if you give me a chance to speak
Well, I am
without cutting me
giving you a
off,
chance.
I would really.
Yeah, go
I mean,
ahead.
you cut me off, and I'm trying to get it out.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Yes, to the planner. The planner mentioned that this property is an eyesore to the community, and I just want to let the planner know that's not true.
Okay, so that's not your
This is
question then.
Okay.
You
If
can make
please let me
comments,
speak,
Mr.
Chairman.
Greer. Mr. Greer, you can give your comments at the end.
Okay,
Don't help me to let everybody.
okay. Let me rephrase it.
Okay.
To the planner.
Okay,
Mr. Planner, what makes you feel that this property is vacant and an eyesore to the community?
Good evening, Dr. Greer. My testimony was that, and I showed a picture of the site in its current condition in my exhibit, that it's currently not in use and it's boarded up. And the fact that it was boarded up is what I intimated was contributing to its function or role as an eyesore. And I drove by this evening. I drove by this evening just to feel verified.
And Mr. Planner, I apologize. I didn't get your name, but have you seen the inside of this property?
I have not.
Exactly. Because currently there was folks living in here. This is a beautiful structure, and I just don't want to mislead the board that this is a vacant building that needs to be torn down, because it don't need to be torn down. Just from your photos itself, it's a beautiful building. It has enough parking for the tenants who would reside if the place wasn't torn down.
Madam Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
we acquired these two properties about a year ago. When we acquired these properties, the building itself was vacant and boarded up when we acquired it, and we acquired it a year ago. Just for the record.
And Mr. Reed, I'm not disputing that, but it's vacant because nobody put it in the market for anybody to rent it. So that's why it's vacant. There was work just recently done to this house prior to you guys purchasing this property.
Mr. Greer, this is Alak Waviv. I'm the board attorney. Mr. Reed, if you can hear me as well. Mr. Greer, your questions now, or your comments, as the Madam Chair has indicated, will be heard at the end of the public portion. So again, you did ask the one question, but it seems that you're making comments now which are welcome, but just not welcome at this time, as this is the question period for the experts or Mr. Reed. So any comment you may have, you can reserve for the end of the meeting, and you'll be able to say anything you need to say at that time. Are there any questions you have of Mr. Do you have any questions of Mr. Williams, Mr. Reed, or Mr. Evans?
Listen, I understand what you just said, but you guys are putting us at a disadvantage because we're not face to face. We can't see you guys. Some of your names just pop up. Your faces don't pop up. So we at a disadvantage. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold on, and I'm going to let it all out at the end, okay?
Thank you.
But right now, you guys got us at a disadvantage because you're controlling everything.
Madam Chair?
Next caller, please.
We lost the fourth caller, Madam Chair.
All right, I want to say something on the record. There's no disadvantage here, okay? We can hear you, you can hear us. It doesn't matter whether we're face to face. We understand and hear your questions, and we accommodate everyone who wants to speak. So I want to put that on the record because there's something not quite right here. We've been doing these not in-person meetings due to the COVID, and it's still out there. It's still running rampant, and we're still going to be here doing this on a Zoom. It's not a matter of who's controlling the meeting. It's a matter of how the meetings are run, and this is how it's run. So now if we don't have any more callers, okay, I'm going to go back to our commissioners. Let me ask them, do they have any questions?
This is Commissioner Santana.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Santana.
Okay, Mr. Evans, looking at your site plan, I see that the one side setback is 5 minimum required, and you're proposing 5. But if we look into the review that Mr. Dewis prepared for the meeting, it says 5 is being proposed, and I mean a minimum of 5, and proposed is being 3.
I'm sorry, hold on.
I just muted them. I just muted them. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Go ahead. Commissioner Santana, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know what is the correct information for the one side yard.
So on the left side, the existing structure that's there now is 0. It's right on the property line. The new structure would be 5.08 feet, a little bit over 5 feet on the left side. So we would have 5 feet on the left, where 0 was previous on the existing structure. On the right side, 5 is required, and we have a little over 3 feet. So we were looking at a variance for 2 feet on the right side, and 5 feet, which meets the setback. So we 1.92 feet on the right.
So that's not a variance on the left side.
Correct. Well, where it was before, it was a pre-existing 0. The building was on the line previously, or right now.
Commissioner Santana?
Okay, so just to verify, other side yard is minimum requirement is 5, and you're proposing 3.
On the right side.
All right, and the one side yard, the minimum requirement is 5, and proposed is being 3. That's correct.
On the right side.
Okay. So looking into the plan on the first floor, it's a way that you can have the studio being removed and create more parking spaces there.
The studio,
is that possible?
The studio apartment is basically a condition of meeting the handicap requirements. We need to provide a handicap unit on the first floor. So that would facilitate the design where we provide a handicap unit on the first floor. We provided as many spaces as we could under the building with that taken into consideration. So we have 5 parking spaces on the ground level.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioners?
Commissioner Fisher here.
Yes, Commissioner Fisher, go ahead, please.
Yes, my question is for anyone to answer, actually. On that block of Hamilton Ave, would this building be the tallest building on that block besides the School 6? That's my question.
Well, I can probably answer that. The building is 3 stories. The RA2 zone, the maximum is 3 stories, so we meet the stories height, and also the maximum height of any new structure is 45 feet tall. We are 31 feet tall, so that's 14 feet lower than the maximum required height. Also, it is more in keeping with the adjacent structures, which are the same height or taller than this building.
Mr. Evans, I understand all that, but that didn't answer my question. My question was, will this be the tallest building on that block?
No.
There's a taller building? There's 3 stories?
Well,
Commissioner, if I may.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, Commissioner, if I may. You have a couple new 2 families, a few doors down, and their actual height is 35 feet. So this right here would be 4 feet lower than a lot of those new buildings that's going up with this. Our building will actually be 4 feet lower.
All right, thank you. That was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioners? I have a question. Is it a requirement that you have a handicap
Yes.
apartment? 100%, you have to have that handicap apartment.
Yeah, so anything over 3 units would require handicap apartments. So we would.
So I understand that you can't reduce it. Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Lorenzo? Wait,
Yes.
Commissioner Lorenzo, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's the former home there for Mr. Braggs, right?
Who are you asking?
Anyone. That was Mr. Bragg's funeral home, right?
No, I mean, I've known Brad, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Greer, he come out here tell you the same thing. I've known Brad Shalom and his father since I was a little kid, and they've always been on the corner of Hamilton and Rosa Parks, and they extended over a few more doors. So Brad's funeral home is 256 Rosa Parks Boulevard, and the Braggs have lived over the funeral home since I was a kid. So I've known the Braggs personally over 50-something years, and they've always been on the corner of Rosa Parks and Hamilton Ave.
Okay, that was my question.
I have a question. This is
Yes,
Commissioner
Figueroa.
Yeah, as far as the combining of the lots, is that going to be included in the bulk variances, or is that a condition?
We would make that as part of the application. We would legally merge the lots with the tax assessor's office. So it would be part of the application. That's what we represent to the board, to make one larger lot, correct?
Thank you.
Commissioners?
Commissioner, Madam Chair, if I can make one comment. I mean, we have the existing structure there, and which has 0 parking for that structure. And let's just say it's 3 bedrooms each, or let's say it's 2 bedrooms each. We will still need 3 parking spaces for that building. If we would just leave right there, we need 3 parking spaces for that building. As a right, we could build another 2-family of 3 bedrooms each on that vacant lot, which will require 4 parking spaces. And we will only have the 2 parking spaces in the garage, which will leave 2 parking spaces short, plus the 3 parking spaces that in the existing building that has no parking. So it's still gonna be 5 spaces short. So either way we go, if we don't get approved, it's only 5 parking spaces short. If we get approved, we ask for a variance for 5 parking spaces. So like either way, we could put a new development there and comply with the city council 4-4 redevelopment plan, or we can leave it as it is, just build a 2-family. It still had the same parking situation. So that's not going to change. Either way, it won't change.
I understand that.
Thank you.
I think the commissioners understand that. Okay, any other questions from the commissioners? Anyone? Commissioner Santana. Yep, go ahead, Commissioner Santana.
Mr. Matthew, I'm sorry that I'm going back to the same questions before. I went back to review your site plan, and your numbers are showing different as it is under meeting review. I just want to make sure that is clarified.
For the side setbacks you're talking about?
For the one, yeah.
What's your question?
I just wanted to know what is the correct numbers, whether it's the site plan you're presenting or me to do its review.
I don't know if there's a discrepancy, is there?
I put down that there was a variance required for 1 side yard. I read it as 3. At a closer look, I see that the number is 5. So there's a variance request for 1 side yard, but not both side yards.
We agree with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And going back to what you mentioned before about having a required studio on the first floor because you have more than 2 floors, more than 3. So we had to look into the concern of the residents in that area. Parking, is really a big concern. And if it's anything that can be done to provide more parking space, that is something that, is truly appreciated, especially with this application.
Yeah, but Madam Vice Chairwoman, under federal laws, we have to have that first floor ADA compliant for this type of construction. So that's a no. We have to have that. And again, I reiterate, if we leave everything as is, the parking situation is not going to change. We could build another 2-family there, And that whole site will still be 5 parking spaces short. So that's not gonna change anything. And again, based on my experience, these are gonna be 1-bedroom units. And based on my experience, most of our 1-bedroom tenants are single occupants. And not all of them have vehicles. And again, this is just 2 blocks away from the transit that runs along Broadway, along with the jitneys, as well as New Jersey Transit lines, as well as the 704 coming along the corner of Rosa Parks, going to the Riverside area, and then also going downtown Paterson all the way up and to Wayne Township. So I believe that I'm pretty sure my planner testified that already, but there's transit in the area. And based on my experience as a developer and as a property manager and a landlord, most of my 1-unit dwellings are occupied by single people, and not all of them have a vehicle. And again, I reiterate strongly, because if we leave it as is and build just another 2-family there, it's gonna still be the same parking situation. That's not gonna change. Only thing's gonna change, we could do a better development and answer the call of the city's redevelopment plan for the 4th Ward.
Commissioner Santana?
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, I will now open it up to the public for their comments. We'll keep the comments to 3 minutes. And they can call in at 973-321-1579, and the meeting ID is 711-680-001. And I believe we have some people on the line from before, and I'm going to ask them all to spell their name for the record and to state their address.
Okay, Madam Chair, I will call on Miss Patricia Glover now.
Okay. Ms. Glover?
I'm requesting her to unmute if she wants
Okay.
to. Hold on.
Hello.
Yes, Ms. Glover, please state your name for the record and please state your address.
Patricia Glover, 271 Hamilton Ave.
Okay, thank you. Your comments, I'm going to keep everything down to 3 minutes, okay? Try to keep it within 3 minutes. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I will keep it to 3 minutes. The statement that he made about redeveloping the 4th Ward, 4th Ward right now is overcrowded. We have to park 3 and 4 blocks away from our house, and he's saying about the parking. Like Mr. Greer said, that house over there is a beautiful house. They have enough parking in the driveway if they want to do it. We done went to School 6. We've been to Bragg. School 6 is overcrowded. They added 11 more units. He's saying that some people might not have a car. He can't base that on that. You got people that's already about to move in there and he knows that they don't have a car. The house is beautiful. We have been trying to keep the house, with the people staying away from the house. It's nowhere on our block to park. Our school is overpacked. We done been to School 6 when we got this notice. We done spoke to the Board of Ed. The school is overcrowded. We cannot put any more people. We in School 6. We're not doing anything right by our children. Hello?
Yes, we're here. Thank you for would you like to add anything else?
Oh, and I'm saying, not only I asked about the parking, about the paying, because I have went to door to these buildings that they building, and they said that they are being charged to be parking under there. So that's why a lot of the people are not parking in the building. They parking on the street that's taken up from us. Okay. So that needs to be looked into. They being charged, and that's why they are parking on the street, because they won't park under the building.
Okay, thank you for your comments. May I have the next person, please?
Mr. Edward Black.
Mr. Black?
I requested him. Hold on a second.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Black, please state your name for the record and your address.
Yes, my name is Edward Black. I'm at 271 Hamilton Avenue.
Okay, thank you. And try to please keep your comment. This is for comments now. Please try to keep your comments to a 3-minute time frame. Thank you.
Okay. I keep hearing about the 4th Ward redevelopment plan, so I went out and got the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. Let me read this to you. It says the intent of the RA2 residential district is to permit single and 2-family dwellings. It is further the intent of this district to maintain the residential characteristics of the neighborhood. In keeping with maintaining the residential characteristics of the neighborhood, we would rather you put up another 2-family house just like what we have on this block. Every single house on this block looks basically the same. This building here would be an eyesore sitting in the middle of our block. It looks nothing like anything that we have here, and it does not keep up with the character of the neighborhood. Let me continue to read from the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. In keeping with this intent, multiple family dwellings and standalone commercial uses are prohibited. I want to repeat that. In keeping with this intent, multiple family dwellings and standalone commercial uses are prohibited. The last time I came on here, I didn't have this before me, but now I'm reading to you directly from the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. Secondly, revitalize the 4th Ward of the city. The primary goal of this plan is to improve the quality of life for the residents and businesses in this area. Now, as we just now stated, we're about 500 feet from public school number 6. I've talked to the head of the Board of Education. Public school number 6 is overcrowded. Now, there are a total of 28 houses on this block, considering both sides. 9 of those houses have off-the-street parking. That means 19 homes with 2 families do not have off-the-street parking. Okay? So that is a big, major problem here. And I want to read directly from the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. The following off-street parking shall be required. 1 space per unit for 1 bedroom. So you said you have about 11 one-bedrooms. Each one is supposed to have 1 space. 1.5 spaces for 2 bedrooms. And it continues on. The bottom line is, what is in the action plan? I'm going to read this again. Raising the levels of home ownership in the areas where the vast majority of residents are renters should be viewed as a substantial component of the overall revitalization and development of this area, because we know that is what stabilizes the community. This is repeated over and over and over and over in the 4th Ward development plan. I'm going to read from another place. Current levels of home ownership within the area are very low. Higher levels of home ownership can help to bring stability and connectedness. Yes.
Mr. Black, I'm only going to give you another 2 minutes. So if you have, if you can wind it down a little bit.
All right, I'm going to wind it up now. The bottom line is we want to keep the character of our block the way it is. So if it requires that you put up another 2-family house, then do so. The people who owned that house previously, the lot next to that was their parking lot because they owned both lots. All right, so I understand. We want to keep the character of our neighborhood. We do not have parking, and our school is overcrowded. Plus, you already have 3 other buildings going up 1 block from School 6 that have multiple dwellings. So you're overcrowding the crowded community. If you came through here, as the other guy said a few moments ago, he would notice that there is not 1 park any place on this block, not 1. If I leave here now, when I come back, I'll have to park 2 blocks from here and then walk home. So this is not feasible. I recommend you not accept this plan. Let them build another 2-family house. Thank you.
Okay, next caller, please.
Mr. Greer, Mr. G. Greer.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Greer.
Hello?
Please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, G. Greer, 287 Hamilton Ave. And I just want to say, Madam Chairwoman, before I got cut off early, the reason you have us to a disadvantage is because it's nothing like face-to-face interaction. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a former Board of Adjustment Commissioner. I know what you guys are going through. I sat in those seats that you're sitting in. But now I'm coming to you as a resident. We own property on this block for 20 years. 20 years. We know this block better than anybody. Yes, the planner, I wish the planner can come right now because there's not a parking space on this block. And I want to say to Mr. Reed, he does some wonderful buildings. I've seen some of his properties, but this location right here is the wrong location. Mr. Reed even said it himself. Let him put another 2 families. We welcome another 2 families because if you put 11 families there, now commissioners, let's all use common sense here. If you put 11 families in there, we all know that everybody's driving each day. So that's 2 people. Let's use a minimum of 2 people in each unit that got a car. That's 22 more cars. Nobody even talked about the guests that's coming to see the 11 families. That's additional vehicles that's on this block. I agree with Mr. Reed. Let them put another 2 family there, commissioners, and we can deal with another 2 family, but you're talking about 11 units you're going to squeeze in there. You're just going to pack these people in there. And Mr. Black said it best. Actually, I was looking for that document that Mr. Black read off to you because I have a copy myself, but I just couldn't find it. But everything he quoted to you guys is 100%. Listen, Mr. Reed, I welcome you to put another 2 family there. I think everybody on this block would. I mean, we went door to door. We spoke to so many people, and they just couldn't believe. Like in the center of the block, and I believe Commissioner Fisher spoke on. Yes, that would be. It may not be the tallest building, but it would be the most compact building with 11 families in there. There is no other building on this block that has 11 apartments. So commissioners, please consider what the residents are saying. And Madam Chairwoman, if this meeting was in person, that chamber would be packed. We have a lot of seniors on this block who don't even know how to use this type of technology. So that's another reason I said you got us at a disadvantage. And the other disadvantage, every meeting you quote the governor executive order. That executive order no longer exists.
Well, actually, it does.
Everybody is back to.
Actually,
Okay,
excuse
listen.
me, Mr.
Okay.
Greer, it does. What he said was that his original declaration about the coronavirus has lifted, but that does not mean that every single solitary institution has to go back into in-person meetings. That's not what he meant, and that's not what it is. And with COVID running rampant, I mean, half of my board members had COVID. I had it myself. I don't think I want to come to City Hall and give it to anyone or get it from anyone. So we're just being more overly protective of our board members. So in time, we will be back, no worries. But I just wanted you to know what the governor actually meant with that declaration. Okay, so let me just say that. But I do appreciate, listen, we appreciate all, the reason we have the public portion is to hear your comments. So we do appreciate it. I appreciate your comments, and I think my board is getting a very good idea of what is happening here. So, just take that from where it's coming from, okay?
But Chairwoman, once again, Chairwoman, you're interrupting me on my 3 minutes.
You're over your 3 minutes, so I welcome you to put another 2 in. Go ahead, put your other 2 in, please, okay? And then I'm going to ask you to please wrap it up.
Okay, this is what I'm saying. The Board of Adjustment meets in the same room that you guys do. The council meets in that room. I understand your concern. But now, Mayor Andre Sayed brags about 100% of Paterson has gotten a shot and vaccinated. So, we're supposed to be leaders of the pack. And all I'm saying to you, I hope you guys can come back in person real soon because I want to see some of you guys face to face when you make these decisions. I don't want you hiding behind a computer or a screen making these decisions that affect our lives. You know, we are affected over here. Try to come here when Bragg's Funeral Home is having a service and when people cannot park. Even though Bragg's have a parking lot, but people still can't park. Bragg's do 4, 5, 6, 7 services a day. All I'm saying to you, commissioners, take in consideration, and even Mr. Reed said it himself, let them put a 2-family there. We'd be more than happy with the 2-family. If you guys would consider that, and Mr. Reed would consider that as well. Thank you for listening to me. You guys have a good night.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, so any other callers?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, so I'm going to ask if there's any other. First of all, let me close the public portion then. Make a motion to close the public portion.
Need a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lorenzo. Roll call, please.
You want roll call or all in favor?
Yes, I want roll call on this.
Okay, Commissioner Ahmad?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher? Commissioner Figueroa?
Yes.
Commissioner Hussein?
Yes.
Commissioner Lidanzo?
Yes.
Commissioner Roman?
Yes.
Commissioner Amar?
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair Santana?
Yes.
And Madam Chair Northrop?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now, is there any other questions from our board? Any of the commissioners? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask Mr. Rubin to summarize.
If
Yes.
I may, I would like to make a recommendation to your board for consideration, and I guess this will be a condition if you were to entertain approval. As the director of development, I'm willing to remove 1 unit from each floor, reducing it down to a 9-unit, and reconfiguring the units to be approximately, they will still remain 1-bedroom units on the second and third floor, which will be approximately 750 square foot each, so it make a bigger 1-bedroom unit, but they will remain a 1-bedroom unit, and therefore reducing variance from 5 to just 3 parking spaces if this board would consider that condition.
Okay.
And Mr. Roop can go ahead and wrap it up for us.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So similar to the prior application, again, if a motion were to be made to approve this application, it would not be with a condition that the reduction take place. It would be an amended application. The application would now be revised from 11 units to 9 units, thereby making the parking space variance for 3 parking spaces. I do just want to point out to the board that the comments that they heard from the public would probably be just as applicable to this revised application, since the
Wait, Mr. Aquaviva, you kind of broke up a little bit.
Okay, where did I break up?
Just go ahead, but back it up a few sentences.
So basically what I said was this: similar to the prior application, this is not a condition of approval if the board were so inclined to make a motion to approve. It's an amended application that reduces the proposed structure to 9 units, and thereby reducing the parking variance to 3 spaces. The comment that I wanted to make is that the input and the comments that we heard from the interested parties from the public would seem to be applicable to the reduced application as it was to the prior application, given that the objections centered around 2 main topics. 1, parking. Although the parking variance has been reduced, there still is a parking variance for 3 spaces, and also that the proposed building does not fit into the character of the neighborhood. That is what the public expressed. So I just want to leave that clear on the commissioners' minds as they hear Mr. Rubin's closing statement and decide which way they're going to go with this application.
Mr. Rubin?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, on behalf of the developer, it is understood that the application is amended to reflect 9 dwelling units rather than 11 dwelling units. And the parking deficit would be 3, and so there would be a bulk variance for parking of 3 parking stalls, which will all be shown on an amended plan thereafter, assuming that the board allows a resolution to be approved. This is an application that is squarely within the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. We have had 2 witnesses who have testified at length that this proposed building is within the spirit and content of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. We are taking down a building that is boarded up, plus we are utilizing a vacant lot, and these are all issues which are encompassed in the redevelopment plan as to what a developer is supposed to be done. So we are acting specifically within the context of the plan. For all of those reasons, we ask that the board allow this amendment to the plan be allowed, with the understanding that a new plan will be filed with the review of the planner of the city and whatever other agency should be looking at it, and we move forward. Thank you.
So would any commissioner like to make a motion on this application? Any motion?
Well, Madam Chair, maybe you should ask for, let's be specific here. Do we have a motion to approve the application?
Yep. Well, I was just going to say, you can also make the motion to deny. So, but if you, does anyone want to make the motion to approve?
As amended.
As amended. Okay, hearing none, would anybody like to make the motion to deny? As amended. No one wants to make a motion either way? I don't think this has ever happened.
Well, I would like to point out, Madam Chair, I would like to point out to the board, the similar situation has occurred in the past. And I'd like to point out to the board again, that if the board takes no action, the applicant has a right to proceed in the Superior Court for an approval. And given the fact that no action is being taken tonight, I wouldn't be the judge in that action, but chances are the application may very well be approved in that manner. So it's my strong recommendation that the board act either way tonight by either putting a motion to approve or deny on the table and having an actual vote. That is my recommendation to the board, that someone put a motion on the table tonight to either approve or deny this application.
Commissioners?
I believe Commissioner Amar was trying to say something. Hold on one second.
This is Commissioner Amar.
Yes.
I don't really. We should approve this application. I'm not really convinced. I believe that the area is overcrowded. I'm not very convinced, to be honest.
So do you want to make the motion to deny?
I have never made a motion.
Well, it doesn't matter. There's always a first time. Do you want to make the motion to deny? Mr. Aquaviva will help you
Yes.
get through it. Okay,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I make a motion to deny.
Maybe Madam Secretary, can you help her get through the motion to deny?
Hold on one second. Let me get the guide. Okay, on the application of 278-2 80 Hamilton Avenue. I move that the board attorney prepare a resolution denying the request for site plan approval and bulk variances, and state in the amendment, and the amendment stated by the attorney.
Correct, Madam Secretary, the application as amended.
As amended, yes. Is that okay, Commissioner Marr?
Yes.
I need a second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fisher. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes on denial.
Commissioner Figueroa,
No. No on denial.
no on denial. Commissioner Hussein,
Well, since we're having too many residents calling and complaining about this project for parking spaces, and we are there for the public, and we can hurt the quality life of the people. So therefore, my vote is no.
I'm sorry.
no on denial or
Denial.
yes? So Commissioner, I need to clear that up. Yes on denial or no on denial?
Yes on denial.
Okay. Commissioner Liranzo,
No on denial.
thank you. Commissioner Roman,
No on denial.
Commissioner Amar,
Yes, on denial.
Madam Vice Chair Santana,
Yes, on denial.
and Madam Chair Northrop.
No on denial.
We have, one more, I'm sorry, Commissioner Fisher.
Yes.
Yes on denial?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Okay, so the motion is denied, or the
The
motion?
application is denied.
Denied.
Okay, denied. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, so, that being said, now, is there any other business we have to do tonight? Do we have any, we don't have any resolutions?
No, Madam Chair.
We have nothing. Our next meeting will be when?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, I hope to see everybody on Wednesday, and I wish everybody, well, first of all, we have to close the meeting, so I make a motion, wait, what's the matter?
Yeah, no, when you close the meeting, I need you all to stay.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, I make a motion to close.
I need a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner, Lorenzo?
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, good night, everybody, what's left of it.
Good night.
Have a good one.
Olivia, please, I still need responses from you guys on the October 31st special and the December 5th special.
What October
I'll do
31st?
that.
What October
Yes,
31st?
I got a mark for both of them. October 31st special meeting and December 5th. And I got responses only from Amar and Santana. So I need to know who's going to be available. I need at least 5-6 commissioners.
Put me on.
Liranzo, on both?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I can do, I'm almost positive now I can do the 31st. It's the other one, the December one, I'm not certain of yet.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
Commissioner Fisher, how about you?
What day was that?
October 31st and December 5th.
31st, I'm good.
Okay. And
Yeah,
to
you
be
can
mindful,
on
and
the
anybody who
31st.
said yes has to be there. Commissioner Ahmed, you'll be there at both?
31st, and the other
31st.
one I'm not sure, yes.
Just a reminder, the 31st, you remember the commissioners that attend at that meeting that we had to follow up the 31st.
What
No, I
meeting?
think that's November.
What meeting?
That special meeting, I think it was moved to the end of November.
No, yes, November 30th.
November 30th.
I got confused with the month.
November 30th, yes. Okay.
This is Commissioner Figueroa. I believe I told you the 31st is definitely good. The
Yes,
fifth?
you were holding on
Fifth
the
is a
other one,
maybe.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And who am I missing? Commissioner Roman? Did he disappear on me?
Yes, he did.
He's gone.
He's gone. Okay. All right.
Madam Secretary?
Yeah.
Madam Secretary? Do we have to dress up?
No. Absolutely not.
Some of us are already dressed up, okay?
Good
All
night,
right.
everyone.
Okay, good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Long night,
What's
long
left?
night. Good job, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Not anymore.